What's up, everyone? I'm not gonna wear these the whole time. I was just putting them on for fun. Be really hard to see. Hope everyone's doing well today. We should be live, right? There we go. All right, we should be live. Guess I could wear the sunglasses for a little bit if you guys don't care. It's just kind of God, it's kind of hard with these headphones. Or whatever that works. I not update this? Okay, let me update this really quick. The chat. And see what everyone's doing. All right, let's try it again. There we go. Hinano. Let's go, rebranding. Not much. Just taking the vibes off. Same stuff. Nothing's really changing. So cool. You guys can kind of see the reflection on my sunglasses. What's going on my screen. Pasternak says, vibes, what's up? How you guys doing? I feel like I would need to get cooler glasses or like aviators to pull that off. So yeah, a little late today, but I did take today off work, so that's why I'm able to stream. At least at this time. So a lot of stuff happening. I haven't been, obviously Bitcoin ETF, all kinds of stuff is happening. Haven't had my ear to the ground too much with like Veve. Obviously, I think some people were a little disappointed with certain drops. We'll talk about it today. We do have a P1XELTRADER as a guest. He is going to be jumping on here pretty soon, but I think he's having some, I don't know if he's running a little late or just having some technical issues, but he did say he was going to show up here pretty soon. So shades are on point. You think I should keep them on? Maybe I'll keep them on for a bit. I'll do it until at least P1XELTRADER gets here. I do have another pair. Actually, I have another pair that's a bit cooler. Hold on one sec. Let me get right back. And you know what? I actually found this shirt the other day. Maybe you guys can see it. It says Veveverse, but I actually found that, dude. That was a shirt that Kryptoni gave me over a year ago at this point. He gave it to me at Decon last year, so it's been like a year and 3 months or something like that. I still have the shirt. I've only worn it 2 or 3 times, so this is like the 3rd or 4th time I've worn it. It's a cool looking shirt. I've worn it a couple times just out and about, just doing random errands and stuff, and some people complimented it, but yeah. So cool. Oh yeah, there's these sunglasses. I could wear these ones too. And then we got the classic Veves too. These are I still have a lot of sealed pairs of these, actually. The ones that have Veve on it. It says Veve on the side, so. I'll set these down really quick. Let's see. Pasternak says 1,500 gems, thinking about withdrawing for the first time. Not sure what Veve NFT will do long term. I don't think there's any doubt about the long term, to be honest. And this is probably something we could talk about once you know, P1XELTRADER gets here and stuff. And he has a lot of different insight, right? We both have different insights and stuff. For me, I don't think anyone, I don't say anyone, I think most people don't doubt the long term of Veve. It's just, is it going to happen in 2 years or 5 years or 8 years? Like, how long is it going to take? And right now there's a lot of hype around Bitcoin and other stuff and crypto. There tends to be a lot of cycles I've noticed with these kind of things, you know, with like alternative investing, like crypto or NFTs and stuff, where a lot of the hype I remember was in gaming tokens, then AI, and then, you know, like play to earn games. Like there seems to just be like a rotation of like whatever the hype is. So let's kind of hope. Right now it's all Bitcoin, right? Halving's in April. People are going to be, you know, that's going to pump or do well. Then people are going to dump that into altcoins, make their profit there, dump it into something else. Hopefully Omi gets on exchanges. And so therefore we can get some obviously Omi would go up, or in addition to that, also get exposure to Veve, because a lot of really early adopters of Veve were exposed to it by Omi. And so I think that's the question, right? Like, I think the question you're asking is like, a lot of people are thinking this too, and I think this is part of the reason why Omi's going down is like, all right, there's really no major utility for Omi, but you know, there's so many other things that are doing well right now, right? Bitcoin, ETH, Matic. There's a whole bunch of other altcoins, which is why I'm bringing PixelTrader on, kind of like his input. He's much more familiar with like altcoins or small caps and you know, different exchanges and stuff like that, and what people are currently doing, because I'm pretty disconnected from it. I've talked to him and others about some stuff involving that, but I'm not super familiar with the whole crypto thing, or how do you research and all that stuff. I know there's a lot of videos on it, but Tito 420 says digital vibes. Yep, it's gonna be digital vibes from now on. I'd probably still trip up and say VV vibes, or someone will call me VV vibes. Like, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be like that. It's like the whole Twitter X thing. But I wanted to keep the vibes, because people call me vibes anyway. People don't jump in my stream and say VV. People jump in my stream and say vibes, what's up? So wanted to at least keep that, and keep the vibe of, you know, the whole pink and blue thing going on. So Dudeski, we need some big news from Veve Omi by 2024, or it's dead. Yeah, we need I do agree, we need something. I'm gonna charge my phone real quick. I'm not sure what that is, or you know, when that is. So hopefully they I agree, they need to announce something. It seems like when you think about it, think about it this, like a year ago, where have we kind of moved? I know a lot of things have changed in the last year on Veve, but from a big picture perspective, right? Like, how much has really changed? We can actually see our MCP points now, right? So that's one thing. We still can't really use them yet for anything. Trying to think, like, what are some massive changes that have happened to Veve that's like gonna actually encourage people to jump on the platform and, you know, spend a bit of gems. You go for the comic on Candy today? I did not. I saw it. Is it going? I didn't even look at it, to be honest. Is it going for 20 bucks, or is it still 10? If everything's still going for 20 bucks, I'm only going for like the super grails, to be honest. Like, I'm only going for the grails. If they're keeping everything 20 bucks, I'm just not going to buy anything unless it's Wonder Woman, Batman, Robin, Aquaman, Superman, Flash. Like, that's all I'm gonna, you know. NFTs won't even pick up until end of 24. We still have a lot of time. I think long term, if Veve is around, they will benefit from the NFT hype and will slowly gain collectors. That's kind of my thought too, Slider, is I think late 2024, and it could push out all the way to like mid 25. Like, it would not surprise me if there's like a 9-month window where it's like, okay, starting like October, November, December, and then it gets pushed out to like somewhere in that range between there and like maybe July, August, or something like that. On there. So he now says it's 10 bucks. Okay, I'll have to look into it. I didn't really pay much attention to it. I did hear it's a decent drop. Like, I'm trying to remember what it was, but it's not terrible. Yeah, it's pretty much Disney making Veve be extremely careful with how they use Omi. At this point, we can't use Omi much at all. These big licenses restrict us so much. Bittersweet. Exactly. It's a catch-22 scenario, right? So PixelTrader's here. Awesome. Let's do this. We got hopefully our guest is ready. Okay. Okay, he's gonna be changing something here really quick, but yeah, let's give him a call. So give me 1 second here. Give me 1 second. Gonna mute everything real quick, make sure the sounds are fine. We're at here, still waiting, so give me a sec. 90% of people have still not been exposed to NFTs or digital collectibles. If we ever get exposure to a bigger population, then that will be a problem. If we never get exposure, I thought I said if we do. I was like, wait, how's that a problem? Yeah, so if we never get exposure to a bigger population, then that'll be a problem, but only time and marketing will tell. Yeah, that, and again, I do think licensors kind of hold a lot of the the cards, right? Like if Disney really wanted to, or if they were all about it, maybe once more legislation and stuff comes through with crypto and NFTs and all that stuff, maybe they'll actually start advertising. But right now, like Veve could advertise, but like who's it for? Is it like it's pretty much exclusively going to be targeting like Web 2, Web 3 people that are in the NFT market already, and like even those people, a good amount of those people I would assume have heard of Veve. But if we're actually trying to get like appeal to the normies, you have to get like licensors on board. Like you have to have like Disney and DC and all those other companies, Marvel, to like start advertising like in their parks, on the website, in the mailers, emails, like all kinds of stuff. That's really what needs to happen in my opinion. Like it can't just be like, I feel like if Veve did advertising, it would just, obviously they would target like Web3 people or people that are into crypto and stuff. But like I really think if Veve really wants to blow up, they need to appeal to like all the normies out there that aren't into crypto or anything like that, because you don't need crypto to get on Veve. So okay, let's try this again. I think I might have a Pixel Trader here. Let me just mute everything. I'm just gonna make sure our sound is good. All right. Go ahead, Pixel. Talk real quick.
Hello.
Can you guys hear him fine?
How do I change your volume? You're like blowing my headphones up.
Oh,
I see it. User volume.
Yeah, turn me down.
Just right click. Cool.
Yeah, I think you said hi in chat, so I'm assuming you're following chat right now, Pixel. But I'm just gonna go through it really quick. But Austin says, I like the new name, better move for more viewers in the long term. That's kind of my thing too. Like, as of right now, I'm still 90% Veve, right? When I talk about like the market and things like that and Omi. But that's part of the reason why we're bringing someone like Pixel on, who's a bit more familiar with, crypto, other NFT platforms. I know you do a bit of stuff on like OpenSea and other things like that. So not against those like platforms. I'm just not too familiar with it. So occasionally I like to bring in someone that has a different perspective, or at least experiences than I do. But Tito420 says, did you hear about the Super Bowl commercial Veve is going to do, or was that in a dream? Did you hear anything?
It's a meme profile that's posting. It's a fake David Yu. It's pretty funny.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, gotcha. Slider says, yes, we definitely need them to start some big marketing this year. We have the IP starting to push them more. Yeah, so Slider had some pretty good comments earlier about how a lot of people are kind of not like losing faith in Veve, but we have some people considering like pulling out their gems. They're not sure how well Vive's going to do in like maybe the short to midterm. Could other cryptos pump? Even Slider was asking like maybe NFTs won't even pick up till the end of 2024. I think it's going to be end of 2024, possibly like middle 2025, just because of all the crypto hype and stuff like that. And I'm trying to think here. Yeah, we talked about a bit marketing too, but kind of what are your thoughts on what Slider and some of the other people were just saying?
Yeah, I'm catching up with it now. Good to see everybody here. What's up? Yeah, I think it's one of those things where it doesn't matter what's pumping and what's not pumping. People are going to compare, right? Like, oh, Ethereum's not pumping at all. Look at everything else, and then Solana's pumping, and everything else is not. Like it's easy to compare, but like when the whole market almost is moving up and Omi's not, it's easy to take shots at Omi. But I always tell people that each investment is like in a separate category, right? Like for a long time, Tesla did not react to the market like at all. It almost did the opposite. Days when everything's up, Tesla's down. Days when Tesla's up, everything's down. And actually, Omi, I don't like to compare it directly to Tesla, but its personality, kind of how it reacts to the market, is sometimes like that. So, narratives carry each other. So the main narrative is Bitcoin goes up, everyone's in a good mood, kind of like more risk on mode, thumbs up, green lights, then everything else will typically start to follow, right? So, but Omi's not in that category, at least not right now, for a lot of different reasons. But I've always said Omi is like one of my favorite wildcard plays. It's just like in its own league, it's doing its own thing. It could 2x overnight out of the blue or from a tweet, and it's been consolidating for a long time. And I think its current profile of users are people just like they're waiting and waiting and waiting for some good news to like really buy in. And we have seen some more people, Mr. Pags and some other people have been buying and stacking pretty heavily at these lows. And we need catalysts, and it's not just we just need exchanges or we just need utility. It's a mixture of, I think, a lot of things. But to me, at least right now, exchanges is still the big thing, because the narrative is typically what drives crypto, not the specific utility, right? And you can of course say, well, this meme coin has no utility and did a 20x. Well, it's because it has demand, it's trending, it's going all over the place on Twitter, it's on exchanges. Like it's kind of it's not an all or none thing. Sometimes you need, basically, I've been saying for a while, like Omi needs a chance for it to have a chance. Like it hasn't had a chance to do anything. There's it's hard to buy it, it's hard to find it, no one knows about it outside our little community. So like, unless you're really a diehard, like plugged in, it's not on your radar whatsoever, right? And the people who already are here are waiting for the good news to like to buy it or whatever. So it's in this weird limbo stage. I'm really, really hoping Q1 or Q2 we get some exchanges. That alone will build the confidence. I think that's the biggest thing, is confidence is just really low for a lot of people, or people are on the fence still. But risk reward ROI, it's still way up there if they can execute and get some things going.
For sure, yeah, and that was kind of my next question, but I guess you already answered it. I'm like, what's like the one thing holding Omi back? But you, like you said, it just doesn't seem like it's really had a chance to have a chance, right?
Yeah, and just because it's not moving with the market doesn't mean it's bad. It's easy to to look backwards and say, well, look at this one's up and this one's down and this guy's stupid and it's like, well, yeah, you're looking backwards, right? That's easy to do, to pick and choose your battles. But if Omi pumps harder than almost anything 6 months from now or a year from now, like, do these short-term pumps matter if it outperformed everybody? Like, it isn't, we don't know the end goal. No one knows what's going to happen in a year from now, 2 years from now, for whatever. But that's why I've said for the longest time, I probably said it here, is you have to kind of separate your investments into different categories. They all have their own personality. They have their own fan base and investor type. There's the hardcore degens. There's the people buying market, they're just flipping every hour. There's people who are looking for the newest meme to dump an hour later. There's people who are like all in XRP forever. Nothing is better. I mean, there's all these different kind of categories that you fall into. So kind of pick what works good for you. And I think Omi just, again, hasn't like had a chance to do well. And you could point to 2021, and say, well, look at this huge pump, and it already did its multiples, and people, made their money. But that's also at a time where it still didn't really have any exchanges, and it was kind of artificially pumped by the whole Logan Paul deal and all that other drama. But as far as, most things, the first go around for a project or a crypto, it's all just promises, right? They're just hoping you say what you're gonna do, and you could promise the moon and the sky and the clouds and the universe, and people are just gonna take you at your word because it's just brand new, right? However, the second go around, you need to actually execute on things, because people can look back and say, hey, what about this? Hey, what about that? This never happened. This is supposed to happen. Like, you need some more things to deliver to people, right? For them to really buy in and pump it later times. It doesn't say things can't beat their all-time highs. Plenty of cryptos have beaten their first pump. There'll be more money, more attention, things like that. But that's why I do not treat Omi like a typical crypto at all. There's just so many other factors and things that, you can't just compare directly to whatever, Gala or this or that. Like, it doesn't work. There's just so many other pieces, and I think it's still, could be lightning in a bottle. You just got to give it a chance to really do something.
Yeah, I kind of like that explanation, because I know not too long ago yourself, you were pretty heavy into Omi and stuff like that. I feel like a lot of people weren't really open minded to like putting money into other cryptos, or at least other projects, right? It seems like everyone was like either all or nothing Omi, or I don't do crypto, or whatever it is. I mean, that's how I was. Like I put a little bit of money in ETH and to kind of move stuff around and buy to like the fiches, which is with like blockchain and stuff like that. But like actually owning like crypto as like a long-term investment and all that stuff, like I only did Omi for the most part. So I think
Yeah.
I would assume a lot of people are like myself, that they're I would say the last like 6 months at least, like people are finally being like, all right, maybe Omi isn't the end all be all of just like crypto. Like maybe we shouldn't bank everything, or at least like just put all of our eggs in one basket. Like it's okay to put money in, you know, Matic or this other you know, kind of project, or maybe this meme coin. You throw $50 in a meme coin, you know, who knows? Like, you know, see what happens.
Well, I think Veve's been great about bringing in new people, and I noticed that early on too. Is that Omi is, for a lot of people, their first crypto exposure like whatsoever, and it's a hell of a crypto to be your first introduction because it's, you know, not just because it hasn't pumped as much as people would like, but because it's in like its own set. It's like a brand new category. You know, they're really trying to blaze the path here and, you know, cross everything and do it safe and do it smart. And I think, you know, Veve is a business, and Ecomi, right? They're looking out for the big picture. They want this to do well 10 years, you know, 20 years. Like they want to make this a, you know, massive pivot for the technology and collectors moving forward, versus crypto's kind of more like, you know, this month, this week, this day, this cycle. That's kind of how they see. So I think there's kind of a disconnect there. You know, from a business standpoint, you might be saying, hey, everything's great. We're growing, we're building, the IP is unmatched. We have content for the next 10 years. You know, our partnerships, our back end, like, and every business metric, they're doing great. They're booming. But then the people who bought in specifically for Omi, you know, they're like, hey, Bitcoin cycle, things are moving. Mine's not moving. What's going on? But and the fact that I think it's been good that Veve's not only made more people new collectors, or, you know, got them into collecting again, but it's brought them exposure to other cryptos. I mean, I've been in a decent amount of spaces with people, and, you know, they're asking questions, and it's great to hear them asking, like, how do I look this up, and what blockchain is, what does that mean? And it's good because maybe Omi got you in the door. Maybe it's not performing how you want, but it's getting you, like I said, in the door to learn about the bigger market if you're interested, versus just seeing what's on Twitter. Because eventually you get to a phase where you read a lot and you take in a lot, you absorb a lot, you listen a lot, but you only really pay attention or act on maybe like 5% or 10% of what you're seeing. Most of it's kind of fluff or not, you know, not really fleshed out. But there's 5 or 10% that's really good information that might actually make you make a trade or make an investment or make a flip or make a play. But I think, you know, the benefit is that it's been opening people's eyes, I think, to how crypto it is and how volatile. I mean, just today, Bitcoin, you know, early morning went up to around 49,000, and not too long after that, it crashed to around 45 something, and everyone's like freaking out. It's like, this is crypto. This is what you signed up for. You want the big gains, you get the big volatility. Even, you know, the biggest one of them all, the big King Daddy Bitcoin, has massive swings, and, you know, I have alerts all over the place on my phone going off all the time, up 25%, down 10%, up 10%, down 30%, just constantly. So it takes a certain kind of breed of people to be able to, you know, kind of filter through everything and like have a plan, have some conviction in things, and just stick to it, and just know that if you believe in the cycle or you believe in a project, you're going to write it out, up, down, in between, whatever. Because, you know, if you're going to panic over, you know, your thing's not up, or it's crashed too much in a certain day, then, you know, you're probably not going to make it long term. The most of the people did really well. You kind of have to have some thick skin, right? And I'm not saying just be blind and just throw money in Omi and just cross your fingers. You know, for me, if I saw something that I'm like, this is no longer going where I think it should go, this is bad, this is all bad, I'm out, I would absolutely tweet about it. I would sell. I would, you know, let people know. I'd be honest, but I haven't hit that yet. So like, I got plenty of bags spread everywhere. If Omi doesn't do well, I'm totally fine. But Omi also is a different beast in the fact that, like I said, it could pump 2x overnight just out of nowhere or off a single tweet, and then now it, you know, it's off to the races from there because we got an exchange or we got, you know, some marketing or whatever it is. So it does have extra big pump potential, as they say, versus a lot of other cryptos too.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing I've kind of learned just doing with stuff on Veve is that like have a plan. Like I even being on Veve, like my plan on like how I collect, how I sell, flip, whatever, has probably changed like 3 or 4 times since I started Veve in November. Technically, I started in November, but my account I believe says like December or something like that. I did have a random account before I had like the whole Veve vibes thing for the most part. So is to kind of have a plan. I feel like whenever I'm on Veve and I have a plan and I stick to it and I do it, even if it's like an incorrect decision, I always feel way better. I'm like, hey, like I said I was gonna buy this thing. If it hit this price, I did it. It went lower, so be it. Like whatever. I imagine it's kind of the same thing with crypto for the most part. That's kind of, I guess, my hesitation personally into like getting altcoins and things like that, which is like there's a lot of research involved. You kind of have to, it seems like a lot of those altcoins, I could be wrong, have like a hair trigger, right? Like a little thing that's like, all right, pumps up a ton, then within an hour or two, it's going to go right back down unless you're ready. You got to be ready there to basically sell it or buy it or have a plan or something like that. So, and that's the other thing too, is it's hard to like come up with a plan because your plan is hopefully different based on different altcoins or, your collectibles, whether it's Veve or crypto, right? So.
Yeah, and that's why, meme coins are like their own category, because the goal of meme coins is just you're trying to buy before the next guy to pump it up higher. Like no one's holding, there's no like community of like diehard. I mean, Doge kind of set the tone of, meme coins are a thing. They're here to stay. And the whole idea is people try to get in them early, low market caps, get them on Twitter, get them trending, build all these communities of memes and the Telegram, and then you dump before the next guy dumps and you make a 10x or 50x. Like that's the whole point. Yeah. Or get on it before an exchange and then dump. So that's the personality of a meme coin. It's just to make people money and jump ship right before the next guy does and it crashes or whatever. So that's how you trade those. And then you look at something like a Solana, you're looking at something that's like VC backed, long term, they're improving, lots of devs, lots of projects. So, buying at $8, $9 was painful, and now it's $100 and everyone's like, oh, it's the best thing ever. It's like all these people just flipped on a dime because now it's like it's been approved, it's safe, it's comfortable, you have validation and all that stuff. So a lot of cryptos, they just kind of need to flip the switch of now it's a thing. And for Veve, they have not flipped that switch of like people trust them, they're comfortable putting in more money. There's kind of a point of no return, right? Like I don't think it's, once we get a couple exchanges or we get some good news, then it's kind of like, all right, now we have a chance to do well. Now we have a chance to get exposure and bring in money and all that stuff versus, just being on Bit4X and a couple other ones. It's how could it even do that well unless there's like, a ton of attention behind it. But it's just like you said, have a plan, treat each investment different. There's plenty of things that I put in money and it pumped 5x quick. Great. I'm taking almost all my money out and I'm putting it somewhere else. Like it's did its thing. I'm done. I'm not going to bag hold this thing and write it down. Right. So,
Yeah, got 2 comments here. I like what Slider says here. In a bull run, you need to block out the noise and sell when you planned. Volatility is what the bull run is all about. So, pretty much. And then Pasternak, I'm kind of curious your take on this. I think at this point, Veve wishes they never had a token. Honestly, there wouldn't be a Veve if there wasn't a token. So I'm not sure about that because that was almost like their springboard, right? Or they're kind of like their what do you call it? What's the crowdfunding website that people have to like start a project or a book or a video game like that? That's kind of what it was, right? I'm trying to remember the name. It's escaping me right now.
Yeah,
but
that's how a lot of companies, and sometimes people like, well, they don't understand crypto and like how does it react? What is a token? It's kind of like a stock where they use the token to pay devs to raise money. It's either going to be proof of work or proof of stake, and you set a token amount, you have a plan and a goal for what your product's going to do or what your project's going to do. So it's kind of like a stock in that aspect. And you can use it to raise a lot of money, and that's what they did, with Omi to kind of get it going. And people are just like now, people are buying in the future, right? They're buying in the potential. And so I know a lot of people, including Jeremy and some others, are like, they don't feel like they've got not a return on their investment because it hasn't pumped as much, but they're like, they feel like they haven't really executed on, the things that they said they would do years ago. And so, the past doesn't always predict the future, but it's hard to have thick skin when things are kind of chipping away and chipping away and chipping. It's like, okay, all right. So, it takes a different kind of breed of person to just ride the rough seas as long as you can. And maybe December of next year, January of next year, Omi did a 10x, 20x, and everyone's like, calling out the futters or whatever. And it's like, I knew it all along. I saw it all along. Of course, yada yada. Now everything's up, doing great. But looking back, it's easy, right? No one knows what's gonna happen. So that's why I treat Omi different than the Veve collectibles. I treat I treat Omi different than all my other like Caspa and all these. Like I treat them differently. They all have kind of their own type of holders and type of ecosystem. So.
Yeah, because it says at this point, if he wishes they never had a token. I'm not sure about that statement.
Sorry to answer that. They never had it.
Yeah, so do you think Veve wishes they never had a token? Or do you think like
I wouldn't say, I mean, I don't know exactly, but I would guess they don't wish they never had it, but I would guess now they would probably say they wish they knew what they're getting into, or they were not expecting. We've heard from David multiple times that the last year or two have just been like unreal about like the type of changes they've had to do inside the company and legally. Like it's been probably 10 times more complicated and difficult than they ever expected. And they're trying to kind of appease the two different audiences, which is the crypto Web3 and then the regular collectors and the people who are more, normie, get them in the door and make it easy and convenient. So they're kind of in a weird spot of trying to make both sides happy, and they need to bridge that gap somehow. And, I think they could get there. They kind of need to make it easier for people to spend money on the app and utilize Omi and all that other stuff. But I wouldn't say they regret it, but they're probably saying this is a lot harder than we expected. And we got a lot of hills to climb, and they kind of are setting the trail. And I think with the Bitcoin ETF, and there'll eventually be, there will eventually be probably a Solana one. People are already talking about, the Ethereum one coming up. This is kind of giving, again, validation to the whole market. There's going to be more companies and projects and teams and devs that are going to want to integrate crypto, right, with whatever they do. So I think Veve could, they're kind of a trailblazer where they will get the rewards if it works out, but they also kind of they have to go through all the growing pains as well of, there's no trail. They gotta make the trail and take all the pain that goes with it and, do their best. And there's no guarantee of the future, but if you believe in the IPs and you believe in the future of collecting and things going digital, like you said earlier, it might not be this cycle where things go crazy. It might be the next cycle or the next, like, who knows? But long term, I think they are on the right path for, collecting in general.
Yeah, and it's interesting how like people have different relationships with Omi. Like if I was an OG investor back in, I don't know when it started, like 2019, 2020, like whatever it started, like my relationship with Omi is way different than like if someone who bought it now, right? Or back when it was at its all-time low, just like as an investment or whatever, because people look at it differently and people are promised different things at different points in time. But let me catch up with chat really quick. LM Bats, Sup Vibes, I like the little rebrand you did there. I agree, diversity like XRP, Cardano, and Polygon are not even $1 yet. Yeah, what do you think about those ones? I mean, those are like the most commonly heard ones, or like kind of like staples in like the crypto community. So
I think I've talked about this like a lot, but you have to have your own personal style. So like for me, I'm not afraid to invest in something just because it's on Coinbase, and now it's like, it's a normie coin, and it's already had its pumps, and you should have got it earlier. Like there's different. So like one of them was SEI or Say or Psy or whatever, right? I was telling people to get that, and I hope some friends get that when it was like 20 cents, and then it went up, and that's a total like normie coin, right? It's just like it's on Coinbase. For some investors, like if it's on Coinbase or whatever, like it's too late, it missed the boat, you should have got in first, right?
Yeah.
But I'm open to that. So for me, like I like to catch the early stuff. Like for instance, I was loading in very heavily in Caspa, learning about the block DAG, and that has its own kind of sector. Solana ecosystem, DPIN projects. I'm on a lot of DPIN projects. So my personality is to kind of understand myself. I'm not looking for 1000Xs and YOLOs and lotteries everywhere. I have my lottery bags, a small amount of them, that if they do 1000X, that's great. But most of my money's in the ones that I feel have the highest risk to reward. That are kind of in that middle section where they're newer, they have a low market cap, they have a good project, a good team. I think a big thing is team. A lot of teams, anyone can make an NFT project or a crypto project and just be anonymous, right? You need to actually see the team and the product and the sector. The sector is a big one. So I think the longer you're not just in crypto, but in investing in general, you kind of start to learn how to separate your money.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot like just collecting on Veve or really any platform or anything in general, right? You gotta ideally have a plan, and I've kind of cultivated that with Veve, where I remember David, you said like, hey, eventually you're gonna have to like pick a corner, or at least have some sort of plan going forward, or if not, you're just gonna be caught doing nothing, or you're trying to do 47 different things at once, and now you're losing it all. But if you have a plan, that definitely helps a ton.
Yeah, and some of those tokens like XRP, Cardano, I mean, some of these have die-hard communities, and they have a different, again, personality towards them versus something that just came out. Maybe it has more hype short term or whatever. But, like I said, my strategy is to find things that are newer or newer-ish. I'm okay if I miss a little bit of run up early, and I'm not looking for all 1000x's. Some people, if they're new to crypto, what do you typically tell them if they really want some advice? Like, okay, buy some Bitcoin or ETH, maybe some Solana. If you want to have a little bit more of a new risk play, buy some SAI or SAI or whatever it's called, SEI, and like just leave it, and they'll be more than happy with a 5x or 10x, in their overall portfolio, and they're happy. But if you've been around for a while, you're looking for 20x's, 50x's, the occasional 100x. So you kind of diversify your back into these different things, right? So, but yeah, I like SAI a lot. I don't even know if it's SAI or SAI, or I just call it SEI, but.
Yeah, we got Ron's crypto therapy in here. Watched a little bit of your content and some of your interviews and stuff. You were on like Danny DeBoles and a few other interviews and stuff too. So definitely like
Ron's been getting busy. I kind of would chat with Ron on Twitter and hang out kind of just in the background. It wasn't until more recently I asked Ron if like, hey, if you want to build something like a Discord or community, let me know. And then he just took off and ran with it and did his own thing. So it's great to be there. I'm not super active, but I'm always kind of watching and checking in and kind of just keeping the community. But I've been saying for a long time, there's so many cool people in the space. Veve kind of brought us together, but there's so many talented people that are either short-term traders or like more like long-term visionary investors, or people who really know the tech, people who are actual creators and are like, there's just a variety of talent everywhere. So you kind of can pick and look around all the talent that we got. And, Ron's group's been really good. I think the education for newer people has been really, really, really helpful, because it's a big learning curve at the very beginning. It's a huge, I would say maybe crypto is maybe the biggest, most difficult learning curve, that you can get into versus traditional investing or whatever, because it's a lot of times things don't make sense and the returns are crazy and the volatility is crazy. So it's not like your traditional investing in real estate or stocks. Like it's a different beast, but that, to me, that makes it exciting. So yeah, Ron's been really good. He's been active. He's always, he's very fair, neutral. One thing I'm not cool with if someone is, even if they're a great investor or a great trader, if they're just a negative person or mean or bitter or throwing shade, like I don't care. I check out, not interested, right? But Ron is not like that. He can take the heat. He can be, he can absolutely be objective, and he'll call, to me, he calls it how it is, basically. So he's been a great asset to the community. And, I think what'll be really beneficial when Omi starts to get some good news and then Ron jumps on ship, the big wave of fans are going to jump on like, Ron likes Omi again. Let's go. Or, whatever it is. But yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Ron's throwing a few more comments here. He's saying SEI could be big this cycle because the tech. Thanks. He's also doing a live stream. Doing a stream live wallet guard cybersecurity expert tonight. That'll be great for.
Ron has one later, and then I think Doctor Stuff has one later today. Yeah, there's a lot of people doing stuff. So I mean, it's great to see people constantly put out content and helping their audience.
Yeah, I'm so far. That's why I'm having someone like you on. I'm so far disconnected from a lot of that stuff. Like I'm kind of dipping my toes in. I know you've given me a couple recommendations on things, but I still haven't like taken that first step because I'm like, all right, I'm gonna have to get on like a different exchange and maybe do this or that,
easy,
or like,
man.
No, it's not. It's like, all right, if you do this exchange, you might need a VPN and this and that, and like don't get caught. Like technically, I'm like, all right, bro.
And that's the thing. You're not a noob, right? You're young. You know technology. You can, you can build a computer and you can do some pretty advanced stuff. And crypto's still confusing to you, right? Like at least at the beginning. So there's a lot to it. One of the things you don't want people to lose money, of course, and get scammed or drained. So like security is a big part of crypto. Which I think is security will get better over time and the awareness, but it's still kind of the Wild West, even with the the Bitcoin ETF being approved. But
cool. Well, thanks for hanging out, Ron. We'll definitely check out your stream later. We'll give you a shout out if we remember before the end of the stream. But did kind of want to slide back into Veve here just a little bit. Slider was saying a lot of good comments today. I just think Veve thinks that the token opens them up to a lot of regulation and could jeopardize the Veve side. I think this is why they are so quiet and careful. I agree. I mean, with licensors like Disney and all that stuff, they don't want to be tangled up with crypto if there's like very little to no regulation and all that stuff, because like now they're indirectly tied to it because they have licensed products on this platform. And same thing with Veve, right? Even if Veve had not even the biggest license stores, and they like, let's just say they're just selling their own stuff, like no X-Men, no whatever, but we were still here. Even Veve would be like, all right, there's this whole crypto side where if there is some sort of weird regulation or something happens, or it's illegal and certain, and that's the other thing too, like Veve is working on like a worldwide scale, not just the US and like their regulations, like the regulations of like Germany and the Philippines and New Zealand and Australia. Like they're worried about everything. So I don't know, that's kind of my, like I don't understand the full picture, but I could definitely understand the issues that they're dealing with. And they can't even, I bet you even they can't even verbalize some of the things that they're dealing with, because they're just like, there's so much stuff happening. It's like we can't even, how do we communicate it with the community? And if we're not 100% confident, like they're just going to think it's, you know, not worthwhile.
Yeah, and eventually there has to be some layer of trust for the team of whatever project it is, right? So David, you can't say a lot of stuff for, you know, a plethora of reasons, and you don't know, pretty much nobody knows outside a handful of people at Veve and, you know, who they're working with. After that, you kind of just have to cross your fingers and hope, you know, and trust and believe in all that stuff. So, you know, I think sometimes it's easy to be nihilistic or easy to be negative and like, you know, Dan's doing this or David's doing this on purpose. Like, I don't think they're trying to ruin their company on purpose, right? Like there's reasons companies do things for good or bad, right? Sometimes companies take a big hit up front, you know, they will literally, you know, do something that hurts their audience short term because it's for the bigger picture, whatever their plan is to do, right? They're trying to whatever, pivot to a different type of car or plug in their phone or what, you know, whatever it is. Yeah. So, you know, if you think that, you know, the team over there and the future is looking good, it's kind of just like, well, you know, we'll buckle up because, you know, who knows when it's gonna do well. But if you feel like they're doing their best to move the space forward, then, you know, there's not a whole lot you can say. Besides, I mean, I know it's kind of weird when people just brush off, you know, team members as their scam artists. It's like, what?
Yeah.
Why would they destroy their own company? Why would they destroy their own Omi? Like they're behind, they're having issues. There's a lot of problems. It's taking longer than you expect. They're going to have to pivot and, you know, adjust the whole time like they've been doing like every other startup company. But I don't think they're trying to bury their own company to the ground, you know? Doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, yeah, I mean, that just makes sense. I feel like there's been videos, you know, putting fun in Veve, and, you know, I still have a firm belief like Omi's going to do well, Vive's going to do well, all that stuff. It's just a matter of when at this point. And as much like I do have like 4, maybe even like low 5 figures I want to put in like crypto and stuff, you know, at some point here in the near future. But for me, I'm kind of hesitant with Omi because I'm like, there's other stuff that could probably pump in the meantime, or at least like I could get educated with people like you and Ron's crypto therapy, where it's like, all right, I can feel a bit more comfortable tossing 50 or 100 bucks into this thing and then that thing and then you know, 500 there and then whatever, and kind of coming up with a plan. So it's like my personal thing is like I still believe in Omi and Veve, but right now it's like I'm not putting a whole lot of money into either one because I just don't have a huge reason to do it right now, if that makes sense. I just feel like there's just better opportunities.
Place, right?
Yeah, and I think I think there's just slightly better opportunities in the mid to short term. With other projects or like other crypto coins and stuff like that. I do think Omi, like one day, who knows, like what's the event coming up where David Yu's gonna like make an announcement or talk about
Crypto XR, and I believe it's January 25, I think, so not too far off.
Yeah, and who knows, like one of two things is either gonna happen. Either gonna focus on Omi, talk about potentially like announce a new exchange, or maybe a new exchange like shortly after to kind of generate some hype, or maybe even before, so they can openly say like, oh, by the way, as of yesterday or as of 2 days ago, we're on all these exchanges and things like that. Like that'd be pretty hype. But at the same time, it could go the other way too, where they talk about Omi a bit, but they start really focusing on like the Veve side of things and licensors and collectibles. But you know, we don't really know for the most part.
Yeah, and you know, it's like I said, that's why it's helpful to separate the Veve company versus Omi. They're two different things. They're connected kind of, but they're also act different. They, you know, they have completely different ways that you should handle them. Even comics and collectibles, you know, I kind of treat those differently. But you're right, and no one knows the future, and I think that's what a good investor, you know, will be able to separate their emotions and say, here's what I think's going to happen. Everything, you know, is just on your chances are higher or lower, right? Some people, you know, they're okay with taking a 10%, you know, moonshot on everything, and other people, they want an 80%, you know, success rate, and then, you know, have a small batch of, you know, moonshots or whatever. But I think, you know, no one knows the future. I guess that's the main thing. No one knows the future. It's easy to say, you know, looking back, this one did well, and I called this, and I call it's like, well, yeah, because it's easy to look back and say that, right? You can kind of be a couch, Twitter person or whatever you want to call it. And I'm open and I think I'm objective enough to say like, Veve's been struggling. They have not delivered on a lot of things. Things are not going well. Yada yada yada. As far as we can see publicly, internally, maybe things are ahead of schedule, and they're going to release all these things, and they have a roadmap that we're just not aware of. Yada yada. But we can't see that, so we can't act on information that we don't have. But I'm also open to say, I don't know the future either. Omi could be the easiest 50x, 2 years from now. We have no idea. So for sometimes people just to say, this is going nowhere, this is garbage, because it hasn't so far, and they haven't done this so far. It's like, that's true, but so far, like we don't know the future. And a lot of times when I was buying into these tokens, whether it's Caspa or some of them I got in super early, and I'll even for me, I'm doing my homework and research, and I'm like, this could be huge, but if it goes down, I feel like an idiot, right? I feel like I don't know what I'm doing. I'm slipping up. I'm losing my touch. Then it goes up, and you feel short term like, okay, still got it, right? Caspa pumped, or mint layer pumped, or whatever. This other meme coin pumped, and like you feel like you're kind of giving yourself credit, and like you're reassuring yourself that you got it, you're smart, you're beating the markets, but it also could have went the other way, and now you're like, well, I'm an idiot. Why'd I do that? Because some things check all the boxes and they still lose. Some things barely check any boxes and they still win, at least short term. So you're always gambling, right? That's why I think diversification is good. Have a bunch of different things, because like I said, for a lot of people, Omi was their first and only crypto, and they put all their money into that, and now they're just sitting around getting mad and upset, versus diversifying and saying, if Omi does great, that's awesome. If it doesn't, I'm totally okay too, because I got so much other, so many other things moving.
It's all gambling at the end of the day. You just gotta, it's just like, what's the most educated gamble possible? I mean, whether it's crypto, Veve, honestly, even the stock market, like, all right, do I put in the 500, or Fed's gonna lower rates, and like I should get into like bonds while they're hiding out, like all kinds of stuff. Like it's all just kind of educated guesses, right? Or educated, like nothing's 100% for certain. Like a lot of companies have risen and fallen, a lot of crypto or projects and all that stuff have risen and fallen and all that stuff. So
even with the halving coming up, there's no guarantee that the halving is going to do what it typically does. Like there's none, but you can take an educated guess of the last past cycles and say, here's what traditionally happens. And there's always something that says, this time's a little bit different, this time's a little bit different. And I do think the new money coming in over time will evolve kind of how crypto cycles work. But you're, like you said, you're always just taking an educated guess. And in the world of crypto, it's typically younger people. They're a bit more degen. So most people are looking to get rich quick. I mean, I think what's dangerous, if you're looking to become a millionaire in like 6 months or a year, that's risky. If you're looking to become a multimillionaire over 1 or 2 cycles, very, very doable, right? Just 4 to 8 years, or 5 to 10 years, or whatever you want. Like would you rather kind of secure yourself in that category and work your way up and learn, or YOLO everything and then lose it all, and then you're back to square one?
Exactly. Man, I was gonna make a point, but I forgot. Well, was there anything else you want to talk about? I mean, and if people bring up topics or interesting questions in chat, obviously we'll bring it up. But if there was anything else you wanted to talk about, if not, I was gonna kind of segue kind of back to Veve, but talk about like
MCP and stuff. I
was gonna say Master Collector program, and then talk about collectibles, which ones you like so far that have dropped. Like, are you going for Betty Boop? What do you feel about the desk, the X-Men drop, like all kinds of stuff. So I do have the obviously you have Omi staked right already on Veve.
Have you gone into the I think the app.vv where you can check your Omi stake? I think they have the bronze tickets there. It says 0. I haven't been checking though to see if it updates the tickets or
on here. Or is it the other?
It's on the was it Omi or Omi.vv.me or something?
Okay.
I would not log in while you're streaming, but
good call.
But that is where as far as I can tell now, that's where the tickets will start showing up. It probably won't show anything until the season's over, but the timing is interesting with the halving coming up and season 1 coming up at the same time. So
my take on MCP program right now is MCP/OUP, right? Is this MCP or is this the OUP? Omi Rewards season 1. Okay, I'm a bit whatever about these announcements, to be honest. Like, some of them are good, you get extra bonus points and stuff like that. I think the most interesting thing is the crafting. You use bronze tickets to craft. me personally, I don't think anyone's going to use bronze tickets to MCP unless you get an absolutely absurd amount of MCP points, or we actually have a reason to spend our MCP points. But I don't see anyone burning a limited, like a limited resource like bronze tickets to just get an unlimited resource like MCP. Like, you get MCP every day, you could just buy more collectibles and get, you know, stack more MCP every day. But the one thing that does get me interested is the bronze tickets earned on the Omi utility there, because like that's actually like something for an exclusive craft or something that that non-Omi stakeholders can't have access to. I believe somewhere on here I thought it said that you can purchase bronze tickets with MCP or maybe gems, or can you sell them? I'm not too sure. I haven't really looked.
If you do Control F, you maybe can find it, but I think you can. I believe they said that the bronze tickets will be able to be not tradable, sellable or whatever. I think so. But the thing I think I think everyone was happy to see this, but they were expecting. So this basically told us what it is. So they didn't really tell us why it is, outside of you can get more MCP ticket or more MCP points, which as of right now don't do anything. We're just collecting them. I know they will do something, and maybe they're gonna be really cool and actually pretty valuable. And there's all these, you know, market games you can play with the MCP points and stuff. But right now we have nothing to go off of, or like you said, the tickets, which also we have nothing to, like. So they kind of said, here's how this works. Here's what you're gonna do. But people are like, great, why would I do it though? We don't have enough information to get excited outside of you're gonna get tickets and, you know, there's exclusive crafting. So what I'm hoping they do, the first crafting, if it's something extremely rare, you know, kind of like a Miles level, whether it's whatever, Wolverine or I don't know, something massive, maybe it's Stormtroopers or something that everyone agrees is like, this is a big deal and you have to be involved with, you know, through the MCP program or tickets or whatever, that will kind of help set the tone early on of here's what you can kind of expect, you know. Or, you know, I think there should be a massive MCP, you know, an item or some kind of drop, something exclusive in the future that is so big, people need to spend a ton of points just to let people know, like, this program, we're going to actually make it worth your while, versus just everyone's got a gazillion points and, you know, it's not really worth spending them on anything.
I agree. The crafting thing is going to be super interesting. Me personally, I think they should still do an airdrop for people that are season 0 Omi stakeholders. That's just me personally. Like, I think that would be super cool.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, that would be nice. Even if it was something, even if it was like an Omi logo or just, I don't even care I don't even care if it's not tradable. Like, if they just airdropped us something and they said, here's this thing you can't trade it, you can't sell it, but you own it, and you're one of, you know, 100. I don't know. Did we ever get numbers on how many people actually staked Omi in the app? I could have sworn I thought I heard like a few hundred, but then again, I've also heard like over 1,000, but I'm not entirely sure yet.
I think Veve Fox or what's his name, Crypto Bro or something. I forgot his Twitter account. The Veve feed, they calculate that. I know also Omi Daily Burn. One of them should have something that you can see the staked users. But even for this, I think again, if they kind of had some more clarification on why you should be excited about it, why you should do it, way more people probably would have participated, versus we don't really know enough to stake, aside from kind of, again, you get tickets, which we don't know what they're going to do and what the drops are going to be, and you get MCP, which we don't know what you're going to do with it. So it's kind of unfortunate that we don't have more information on these, but you can see they're making progress, and, you know, they're rolling stuff out, which is good.
Yeah, I'm just kind of reading through it. It says, how are bronze tickets bronze ticket rewards allocated? The number of tickets earned depends on the average number of Omi tokens held in your web wallet from the beginning to the end of the season. To qualify for rewards, deposit Omi into the wallet before it starts. So again, it's like, it's all very ambiguous. Am I going to get 1 ticket? Am I going to get 0 tickets because I only put in, you know, 1.5 million Omi, but there might be a ton of people with like over 5 million. So maybe I'm so low that I don't get a ticket. I mean, it'd be nice to get at least 1. Or am I going to get 5? Like, I don't think it's all just very ambiguous and like very low resolution, which is fine for now. But I think that's been kind of Veve's MO for a couple of years now, right? Where like these kind of programs and Omi utility and MCP and this and that, it's all like very low resolution. It's like, all right, this kind of happens. You should be excited. We don't know when you can redeem it. You can redeem it for stuff. But I mean, overall, it's nice to see that there's some hard deadlines here, where it's like January 1st, March 31st. Season 2 starts April 1st. I'm sure we'll probably get some sort of like April Fool's joke, April 1st, like, hey, season 2, you get airdropped like something insane. But I don't know. I'm just expecting that.
I think it would be nice for season 0 or even season 1 to get something special or exclusive, because even though they laid this thing out, it's still not easy to get Omi. It's not easy to transfer. I mean, none of this is easy or convenient or even simple, right? To most people. I mean, unless you're really into crypto and like you love Veve, like a lot of people just said, I'll pass, right? Or I'm not interested, or it's not worth my time, or I don't trust it. There's a lot of reasons you could see people reading this and just being like, no, it's not ready for me to, risk my money or risk my Omi yet. So that's the hard part is, they're kind of promoting the program, but it's not, it's not easy for people to get involved because it's not easy to buy Omi or Bridget or do any of that stuff. So it's good to see it. But again, I don't want to just point fingers like say exchanges, but what a lot of people buy, and traders as well, they use, there's a couple criteria to look at, right? Like how old is it? What sector is it in? What is the actual project? And then the big part is the tokenomics and also the exchanges. If you're just on a DEX, there's not typically enough money going through DEXs for a lot of people to, substantially invest. If you're on no exchanges, looks a little bit risky, right? If you're starting to get on some mid-tier exchanges, that's great. That's kind of the sweet spot sometimes before they go on a major exchange like a Coinbase or a Binance or whatever. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they're not almost on anything, it's, for most people, like it's really hard for them to buy into that and just, anyways, it keeps going back to exchanges. I think, we haven't really hit the NFT narrative as well. When it happens, it happens. I'm just hoping they allow the floodgates to be opened for people to easily buy and get in the program and stake, Omi to NFT, all that. Like just make it easy for people to spend their money. Because when crypto's pumping, people start spending and trading and swapping and, like they move their money around because they want to grow their money, right? So if you can't get any of that into Veve, I mean, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, and I think with this, something like this too, it's like these are your most dedicated people, the Veve/Omi, right? The people that actually took the time to, buy the Omi, stake it, bridge it, like do all that stuff. Executive speak, dude. Thank you so much for 22 months, dude. Almost 2 years. I need to come up with like a 2-year badge or something interesting. But dude, thank you so much for the 22 month subscription. Yeah, almost 2 years, 22 months. Yeah. But he's coming up on 2 years. And he says, "What up, vibes?" So. But yeah, I mean, it would be nice if Veve did a reward for people that did stake their Omi. Like these are people that bought Omi in exchange, took the risk, bridged it over, staked it, all that stuff. Like it would be nice if they did give a small reward, an airdrop or a something, for these people. I mean, they don't have to or don't need to, but it would be nice because at this point, we're getting points for what, we're getting bronze tickets for what. We're not really sure yet. I really pumped the brakes on. There's only a small period of time, I would say, for the last couple of years. Like I remember people were like really into MCP points and stacking and buying rares and uncommon comics and this and that and completing sets. I was always pumping the brakes. I'm like, bro, I don't even know how much stuff is worth. Like I'm collecting points for what? Like I don't even know what I'm buying. Like if I'm going all out, like if you spend, 500 gems to get an extra, let's say 20 points a day, which is actually a lot of points, but you get an extra like 20 points a day, but then you find out that the cheapest thing, or maybe the only thing that's worthwhile to get for MCP points is worth 20,000 points. You're like, okay, well, I spent $500 and this thing is only going to allow me to get an extra one of these things, once every 6 months or something like that. I don't know. I'm pretty reserved on like stacking MCP points. I definitely pumped the brakes on that, like probably a year ago at this point, just because it's so ambiguous. I'm not going to put bunch of money in these points where I don't know what they do. So
yeah, and that's the thing, right? Some people were chasing really early to stack MCP, and I remember when they kind of were announcing it too, what the points are, and I was buying rare comics books and stuff like that to get more points and cheap secret rares and stamps and all this other stuff because it was fun. And but again, like you're stacking points for you don't even know what it's for, so you kind of took the risk of like, all right, I'm gonna buy it early and get a bunch of points, and maybe there's going to be something. I don't think anyone expected it to take this long, like nobody, so that's a different thing. But if they did release stuff and they got some really rare items or there's ways to use the points, the reward would have paid off for that risk, right? But the fact that you haven't got anything yet, you're just kind of sitting here with all these points. I mean, I'm looking mine now, I have like almost 1.2 million points, and I have no idea if that's good or bad. I have no clue. I'm guessing it's good. It's a big number, but I don't know, depending on the drops or how it's used, right? Like what that's going to get me, or if it's going to, I have a feeling they want to reward, the big collectors, the people who've been here for a while, but they got to be careful and not, step on the people who are newer who don't have big collections, because then it's going to seem I mean, you should kind of spoil your biggest, you should kind of spoil the people your biggest, supporters and early supporters, but
yeah, I'm trying to find your profile on here. So it's Pixel.
You probably have to put in the full name. Yeah, P1XELTRADER.
Oh, it doesn't show you how many points you have. It just shows your rank. Interesting. At least on my side.
Oh yeah.
Oh well. Yeah, I was just kind of curious to see if it showed the points and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I mean, you're a master collector, so I would assume for the most part, people in master collectors could probably do some cool stuff. Hopefully, when MCP gets announced, I really think MCP should just have a separate store for MCP, and you can buy certain NFTs and stuff out of there. I mean, in addition to other things, right? I want to use master collector points to like have an extra chance at a drop or a whatever. I don't know, but it would be nice if there was, because there's some people with millions of points, like you said, right? Like you have 2.5 or 2 million points. Like there's people out there with like 10+ million points, like 5 times the amount. And they don't know where to spend it with, or maybe you're limited to like, all right, you have a second chance at a drop and it only costs 10,000 points. Like some people won't even be able to spend their points fast enough to like use up all their points. So it'd be nice if there was like a kind of like a gem sink or just something to where people could just dump their MCP points. Like if there was a collectible worth 2 million MCP points and it's that exclusive, only a handful of people can afford that. I think that might be worthwhile. But
and the thing is with MCP, it's not gems, it's not money, it's not crypto. So it's kind of like this imaginary kind of like currency thing that they made. So I don't think they're going to give us a lot of stuff like for free. Like you can just spend a bunch of points because they're going to want to make money, but they could, there's so much gamification they could do with it, which is kind of exciting. Do you spend a lot of points here? Maybe there's ways to gamble with your points. Like, they've talked about using your points to get better chances on drops. I do think they need early on a couple of big ways to drop a lot of points, because as soon as the clock starts ticking and your MCP is burning up, your points are burning up, people, I think it's 6 months you have until it starts burning at the end of it. So yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where we have no idea. I think it will be really cool. Like once, they roll out a lot of things, they have a process, the drops are good, Veve's got a lot of other boxes checked with the market and Omi NFT and whatever, then I think the MCP thing could become a bigger player, because MCP is really cheap now, as far as we know. It might become more difficult to get those points and work your way up, because if Omi goes up, it's more expensive to stake, right? If the collectibles go up or certain things go up, or the amount of MCP you need to do things is higher than people expect. Like, it could be, it's kind of like a whole other section of the market that we don't know yet what it's going to be, but I think it'll be pretty fun, and people are obviously going to gamify it and play the. I mean, we've seen an evolution of a lot of things, right? And we haven't even talked about Veveverse. That's a whole other thing that feels far away, but it definitely could be a game changer as far as how Veve works and Omi and everything else.
Bear with me really quick. I actually my car's in the shop right now, and they just called me, so I'm assuming they want me to approve something really quick. If you don't mind, I'm just going to mute myself. But Prince actually had a good question. Same thing with.
Okay, I'll read some comments.
Yeah, it said, why aren't we getting on Veve to get them to talk? I don't know if this reads weird, to get them talking to tell us we have nothing to worry about, but the floodgate will be open. Ask that in AMA. I think what he's trying to say is like, why aren't we getting on Veve? And they're reassuring us that like, hey, like this is the plan. We're gonna open the floodgates. We're waiting for the halving or this or that. Like, because there's been other programs or companies that have just openly said like, yeah, we're just waiting for the halving. We're waiting for this Bitcoin ETF to get approved or whatever. Like, like why can't Veve make those kind of announcements, or just say like, hey, like we're waiting for more regulations on crypto to kind of flesh out, because right now we can't make any kind of decisive moves because everything is so uncertain, and we do have people that are I don't think they will just outwardly just say our licensors, but they say like, hey, we do have people involved in our company that want that to play out before we do something. So you can take that and run with it with whatever direction you want. Sure. I'm just gonna mute myself real quick. Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. Or you can answer that question like, why aren't we getting on Veve, or should Veve go out and kind of talk about those things, like be more open, right? So I think
part of it is that Veve's a private company, and we're not technically stakeholders, right? We own their products, we own Omi, all that stuff, but we're not. They don't technically they don't owe anybody anything, right? They can do their own thing and run their business however they want. Of course, it's good business practice, right, to connect with your audience, be transparent, update them on things. A lot of things for business, though, it's strategy. You don't want to give all your moves, right? You don't want to lay out every piece of your roadmap outside like the main things, because it's competitive, right? You're not just your audience is watching and your fans, but regulators are watching, other competitors are watching, people that want to see you go down, burning flames, or like there's a lot of other people that are watching and listening. So you can only give and tell so much, but I agree with you about the fact that they should kind of be more open what's going on. But it's just not a good look for a company to say, oh, we're waiting for the Bitcoin halving. That's not a good look, because then you're just talking about basically the money and the market. Like that's why Veve almost never says this collectible is worth a lot of money, or this collectible it should be worth more or less. Like they just talk about value, because value is kind of like whatever you want to make it be, right? Like you value this collectible, you love it, you enjoy it, and the price happens to be whatever it is, right? I think that's part of it. Also, they have, Digital Vibes now, Veve Vibes, Digital Vibes, has said that, they're not just working with the US and like one brand, like say HRO or DC Pawn. Like they're working with, all across the world, tons and tons of brands, trying to keep everyone happy. And that's one thing I say Veve's, their strength is they're absolutely amazing at getting top-notch IP. They're just bundling them all up. They're bagging them all up, securing them away. They're releasing things now that they had the licenses to agree to like years ago, which is crazy. So in that aspect, that's great. That is definitely their strength, right? We just kind of need the other boxes to be checked to kind of like, help out the actual user base and see appreciation. But, I think that you got to kind of be careful when they say they should do this or they should do that, right? Apple's not going to tell you, here's our game plan. They're just going to say, here's an amazing product, go buy it, right? Or here's what we want to do. We want to improve the future or whatever. They're not going to say, we're waiting for this regulation. We're waiting for that. We're waiting for chips to get cheaper. They're waiting for they're not going to say that stuff, because that's releasing your chips and it's bad business, right? But I know I can see what you mean overall. And, this is why David and others have said, like, we're working really hard behind the scenes. You're not going to hear about it. You're not going to really see it. But I promise you, everyone's got their nose on the grindstone, and we're working really hard. And when you see it, you see it, right? It might take way longer than you would like it to, but they're kind of saying have faith in us, because once we release it, now it's kind of check that big box, and now we're off to. And I mean, you have to kind of give credit to the last year. Aside from Omi and some other things, they've made some huge progress, right? With the Veveverse beta invites going out, at least the early stages, the Funko thing, the exclusive Veve Cup. I mean, they had some pretty cool stuff come out this year outside of, I think the main thing everyone's looking at is, are my bags going up, right? For Omi or collectibles. When they're going up, people don't really care. Take your time with Veveverse. Take your time with MCP. My bags are pumping. I don't care. Everything's gravy. Awesome. When they're not going up, though, it's easy to kind of sit back and say, hey, what about this? You said that. What about this? And you told us that, like, because your stuff is down, so you're upset, you're emotional, right? So that's why they always say collectors at heart, right? They're never going to mention money as far as like pumping your bags or making you rich. It's always going to be geared around valuing the collectibles, and they'll play with mint numbers and scarcity, but they can't say that they're interested in like making you money or timing the market. Like that's not good business practice. Their goal is to bring in the new age of digital collecting, and bring the biggest and best brands in the world, and kind of whatever happens, right? Free market, whatever happens. But I think everyone's on board with the whole more open, more transparent. I think Foster's been doing a pretty good job. He's on Twitter replying to people, that are kind of disgruntled, but he can only do so much, right? He has to also sit on his hands and wait until they officially announce things. So, but this year should be a good year. I mean, if you've already ridden out the last 2 years of just pain and suffering, then, if you think you're getting close to, better times, then, this could be a very big year, I think.
Nice. I think I heard about half that, but cool. Let's see here. Yeah, so I agree. I heard the last half, and I agree. Like, I mean, if Veve did come out and say like, hey, like we have nothing planned for Omi until there's more regulation around it, or waiting for the halving, everyone would just dump it. They're like, all right, they have no plans, whatever. Like, there's nothing going to be announced here in the next 6 to 9 months, 10. Like, who knows, right? Let's just dump it and buy something else. Like, that's not their goal. They're just going to do stuff and just announce it when it's ready. And they definitely gotten better about that. Less you know, kind of chili peppers and sneak peeks into future drops, and like people like buying and selling stuff because they think like, all right, they're going to release another Professor Xavier, time to dump the one I have because that's going to go down in value. Now there's 2 Professor Xaviers, and you know, whatever it is. But let's see here. Daniel Marquez says they did go back on their word on many promises they made. They completely change some things. I'm curious what things those are. I could probably think some off the top of my head that they've kind of had a change trajectory on, or kind of had a step back based on. I'm not sure kind of what you're, because I agree, Daniel. Like there were some things like they had to change like the way like the Omi token worked. It couldn't be a security. It had to be like a utility token. That's kind of like a small thing. FA changes where they kind of just said like, all right, here's FE, here's FA, and then one day they're just like, all right, yeah, we're gonna fundamentally change everything of how we've released stuff for the last year and a half. This is the new thing, you know. This is what's FE, this is what's FA. A lot of people's stuff just started immediately dumping. I remember buying stuff based on that article that didn't show up, and they added stuff to the article later and like didn't tell anyone. So like I get it, but I don't know. I'm kind of curious. I think that's just
I could see that point for sure. I mean, going back as early as like the Omi wallet, and you're going to be able to transfer these, and this is going to be the first phygital. Like, there's a lot of things that they promise, and I think, you know, it's unfortunate because people were buying in, you know, putting in large amounts of money for specific things that they mentioned, and then either was delayed, or just completely changed. Like the OUP program is, you know, it's changed quite a bit. So, I mean, I don't disagree. You kind of have to fall back on, all right, is this like, you know, is this ill intent? Are they trying to rug us and just drag us along? Or is it they ran into a roadblock and they had to make a tough decision, and they're like, all right, well, we have to do this moving forward, you know, and that's just how it's going to be. So it's not easy. It's not fun. And, you know, if you follow other, not just crypto projects, but other, you know, sometimes actually traditional stocks, the things they start out with, I mean, it's a disaster, and then they pivot. And it's a disaster. I mean, a lot of companies, it's never a straight and narrow road, right? And so they kind of learn. I think Veve's learned to like make less promises, you know, give less deadlines, talk about the bigger picture thing, and, you know, hopefully their fans and audience are passionate enough to stick around, you know, and ride out the ride. Because if it ends up being, you know, even a fraction of what it could be, you know, it could be absolutely enormous. But you got to have that faith and hold on, and just, you know, weather the storm. And that's why, you know, it's good to be in other projects and have your money other places. Otherwise, you're on a very bumpy road if all your stuff is in Veve and Omi versus it's spread out. I mean, even like, you know, you have so many, you know, investments or tokens or whatever. Like, there's times where something is up really high. I don't even notice it just because there's just so much going on, right? It's hard to keep up with everything. So a lot of us eat and breathe and live Omi. Like, that's all we do 24/7. Mm-hmm. So we're hyper aware of every little thing. Did this drop sell out? And what happened with this? And this comment on a space, like deep into it. But if you're looking at bigger picture, zoom out, you know, I think, you know, they have been making progress. There's bumpy roads behind us and probably in front of us. You know, just enjoy the process and the journey as long as you can, as best you can. And, you know, hopefully you didn't, you know, hurt yourself financially too much. But, you know, again, I haven't seen anything that makes me want to jump ship or say, you know, this is, you know, a disaster or whatever. And say, yep, this is what it's like investing in startups. I've seen this many times, other startups like this, if not way worse. And, you know, it's just kind of par for the course, unfortunately. But I agree. Even just recently, right, Dan had said that the next batch of Veve versus Beta is going out. We never really heard anything. So it's unfortunate. It's kind of an ongoing thing if they have high hopes. And I think they want to kind of give people hope, like in a live stream or a chat, but then it doesn't pan out later and then they look bad. It's, you know, unfortunate.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't think they're doing it on purpose, right?
Yeah, I do think Data Marquez had some good points about how they talked about renting and selling and gaming and walking in the Veveverse with like a Todd or a Rizzo skin and stuff like that. Like, we haven't really seen, you know, a lot of that stuff, especially like the renting portion, right? Like, I don't know how renting would work. I don't even think they've even mentioned renting in the last year and a half, right? 2 years, like probably a year and a half. They kind of stopped talking about renting or anything like that.
Yeah, and they're people too, right? They have dreams and hopes of what this could be in the Veveverse and like the spec, but they don't know until they start to get down the road where it's like, oh, okay, roadblock. Oh, we can't do this. Oh, this is not, you know, not smart to, like, they don't know until they kind of get down that path, and they're gonna have to pivot too. So, I mean, that's why, you know, sometimes the speculation comes in, because Veve could be so many things, right? There's plenty of videos and accounts talking about we could do this and that, and this could be huge, but like nobody knows yet. We're all gonna help kind of shape that. And so Veve has to be careful in what they say, because every little thing is dissected, and they're looking at body language and what's in the background. And Alex said this joke, is this a joke or is it not? Like it's easy to go crazy, right? Versus just kind of step back and taking the bigger picture. And for me, I think it's kind of nice, you can just passively play the drops, wait it out, have your money in other tokens and cryptos and projects and whatever, and so you're not so stressed about this one thing. And when they start checking off boxes of big pieces of the project, then it's like, great, checked off this box, great. I mean, waitlist was a big one, right? That one's kind of checked off, it seems like. MCP, hopefully this first season will be a big checkbox. Exchanges will be a huge one. I mean, they got to start checking some big boxes just to make it easy for people to get involved. I keep talking about exchanges, and because it's in crypto, right? It's narrative, but you got to give people a chance to get involved, right? So like a lot of people found Veve through Omi, right? They found it on, it was trending, it was pumping, or they found on a chart, they found on a website, or they're looking at a sector for NFTs or whatever. That's how they found it, and then they got into the ecosystem, versus the opposite. I don't think there's that many people who are finding Veve through word of mouth or Twitter, and then they're jumping into Omi. I don't think that's happening very often. I know they want to probably reach out to those people, but they cannot forget how huge their audience is that's directly from crypto and Web3. Like that's a lot of people either came from there first, or were quickly introduced to that because of Veve.
Yeah, Executive Speak is saying here, I really thought they had a good drop schedule early on, and it's frustrating to me that they got rid of it. An IP drop every 2 weeks and a comic drop weekly worked really well. Yeah, I'm not sure if they just ran out of stuff to drop, or maybe they just couldn't meet timelines with with animators or software engineers or whoever it was, people that are making these things. Yeah, that was a kind of a nice time. But
I think that every drop, for us, it looks simple. It's just like, oh, here's a thing they're dropping it. What's the day? How much? That's all we know. When is it coming out? How much is it? For them, it's meetings. It's back and forth. It's paperwork. It's
getting
this
approvals.
one because in this one in 3 weeks, and then a year from now we're releasing a movie. So we want, like, there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes I don't think we know about or even need to know about.
Yeah.
But I don't think, or they just get busy, right? And they're like, let's slow down for a while. I don't think, but I know it is kind of nice when they have a predictable schedule.
Yeah, like you said, or licensors are like, all right, let's get this thing going, and they work on it for 3 months. And they're like, all right, we're ready. They're like, actually, we're pushing it out 6 more months or a year because we're going to release this thing or make this announcement. And they're like, oh, okay. But
or the opposite, right? Remember the last
opposite.
Didn't Veve say, or no, Disney came to Veve and said, hey, we want to do something for Valentine's, which is like in 2 days. And like, okay, drop something. So then they did the golden moments like last second.
Yeah. Pink Panther says they should announce time and date for Omi to NFT. Or will it even happen because people are holding Omi for this reason? Or like do you think Veve should announce like a day and time when like Omi to NFT is going to happen, or will it even happen because people are holding Omi? Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it. I mean, they'll just announce it
with like specifics, because there's a lot of people, and I mean, this is not just Veve. This is traditional stocks. Like, you got to be very careful, unless it's like something that's on your roadmap, like we're gonna launch the test net on this day, or the main net, or we're gonna release a product. Like, that's kind of different than specific things, because I hope that they stick to more broad, like this year we want to release this, or this quarter our goal is to release XYZ. Because things come up last second. There could be something that no one is predicting that comes up or delays them, whatever. People quit, or regulation, like you said, or licensor issues that, it's literally out of their control. They just got to deal with it. But I think it would be nice. I think what you're trying to say is we want some kind of general expectation of when these big things are going to come, like this year, next year, ever. Like, what is Omi to NFT ever coming? Are we ever going to be able to buy Omi on the app? Like, it's so, and they got to be careful with how they talk about it. But I do believe that was it David, the last interview or the interview before, was talking about he does want to bring Omi to NFT on the app, or maybe it was Foster, I don't remember. A lot of the stuff that people want, they're most of them, they're saying like, yeah, we want to do that too, and we're working on it. Like, we want that as well. Like, it's not like we don't want that because it's it's smart. It's more like, yeah, we would love that too, and we can't say if or when, but guess what? We would like to be able to make that happen. So I think a lot of the stuff is coming. Trading is coming back. It sounds like Omi NFT is coming. Exchanges are like, these things are coming eventually. It's just who the heck knows when.
Yeah. All right. I think we're talking a lot about hypotheticals and what Veve could be thinking or doing, or should they announce. I kind of want to get back to what we know. And one thing we do know is that the desk is not doing very well. What is your opinion on the desk? I mean, this thing is going for less than what the Wreck-It Ralph pencil was going for. Remember, the Wreck-It Ralph pencil was that low 50s for a while. This is going for less than the pencil. So, and I saw this coming. I knew this was going to get dumped really quickly. I didn't think it would go this low, to be honest. I thought it was going to hover around like 70, maybe even 60, because that's like kind of the price of the pencils, and people still want to make a profit and, you know, whatever else. But yeah, I'm surprised. I mean, this thing's at 50 gems, and you know, this was something that was announced like what, in September, maybe a bit earlier. This was kind of like a 4-month like thing that people were kind of excited. Yeah, people were kind of excited about, right?
Yeah, I think, I mean, I'm not surprised either. I played the drops for the pencils. You know, if history repeated itself like most of the drops, at least at this current stage of Veve, typically whatever you craft or make at the end is not worth it, unless it's really, really scarce. So if you did the math on the amount of pencils and what they could be, it was not nearly scarce enough for me to really go for it. I think the desk is cool. Typically, furniture and, you know, static items do not do very well compared to, you know, characters, people, monsters, whatever. So I didn't go for it. I didn't craft it. I might pick one up later because I do think it is pretty cool, although it's just kind of a desk. But it's every drop, I think, is going to kind of have its own kind of section of fans, where like Betty Boop is coming up. If you really love Betty Boop and it's historical, or you grew up seeing it or whatever, you're going to think this is the coolest thing ever. I think it's 20 gems. Great deal. Got to go for it. No brainer. Same with Pink Panther. Same with some of these other ones. But to a lot of the other audience, they're like, what is this? I'm not touching this. This is weird. This is crazy. Like, you know, so it's not every drop is going to be for everyone. Like, so that's just how I see it. Not every drop's going to do well. Not every drop's for everybody. It's doesn't need to be either. So.
Exactly. And then when I look at things like this, like Betty Boop and stuff, like I think the price is great, 20 gems, but the mint numbers are a little high. So 1500.
What's the secret rare mint number? Do you know?
Yeah, let me pull it up right now. We'll go.
Or edition size?
465. So I think it's still it's okay. I would say it's still on like the medium range of mints, but like on the high side. Like, I think we've kind of gotten to the point now where in order for something to be like a really sought after thing and like sell out, it needs to be like the Coca-Cola drop, right? Like the Coca-Cola vending machine that had like 180 or something like that. Like that was the chase thing that everyone was going for, right? Like if we look here, this had it says 270, but really it was 180 because, you know, Veve reserves 90 of them. So I think Veve's starting to learn, and maybe this is an old drop and they already established the mint numbers and stuff, but I think Veve's starting to learn that like when they do these blind box drops, that having the chase be like super scarce is the way to go. Because if you look at the uncommon here, there's 2,000 editions for the uncommon, but you look at the secret rare, it's like 190. That's like 10% of the mints of the uncommon. But when you look at like Betty Boop, it's only like a third. Like 1,500 uncommon, 500 secret rare. Like, okay. Like, and it's not even her classical like black and white look. I think I watched my collectibles video on Betty Boop or whatever, and he mentioned like this is like the classic look of Betty Boop. Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's a lot of these drops. Like this is a big drop. It's super iconic. It's a piece of history. This is a really, really cool drop. Same with some of the other ones. Pink Panther. Like these are massive names, a lot of history, very nostalgic for for a lot of people. But for Veve and at this time, it doesn't always translate. Like it doesn't mean it's gonna be a grail or like whatever. Like it doesn't. I think I've been saying, we've been talking for a while. I think the things that are gonna do best on Veve, at least just in general, the audience, the range of people is going to be more into Batman and anime and Spider-Man and X-Men, Star Wars. Like that's kind of the age group of the collectors we have mostly, not all of them. So when they drop these things that are really cool throwbacks, they're cool, but I don't think like a huge portion of the audience is gonna be like, I gotta have it, I love it, it's gonna be worth a lot of money. They're probably more gonna say, ooh, that secret rare mint's really, edition size is really low, I'm gonna gamble $20. Most of the drops are still people gambling, and you can tell because the common and uncommon are like half the price of the drops. Even on a cheap drop, people are flooring pretty much everything still, unless it's really, really scarce. So
yeah, exactly. So yeah, a few more comments coming in here. Crash, so that way they don't become assets or securities. Yeah, the thing right now that the market will have to break through is that as soon as the market picks up everyone will take profit and will keep the market down until people sell. So I mean, that's just natural, right? If the market pumps, we get a whole bunch of people on Veve, prices go up, people are going to take profits. I know I will. Like there's some comics I have that I have a stack of, 10, 20, 30 of them or whatever. And I'm like, all right, when this goes up, when it hits $2, I'm selling 3, 4, 5 of them. And then when it hits $3, I'm selling more. If it hits $4, I'm selling more. I think that's just part of it. And then Pink Panther says you need to be in the top 20 before you worry about regulations. I think he's talking about Omi.
It wasn't long ago SEC was going after projects like hard, like really hard, and there's some insanely large fees. So I can understand Veve saying I don't want to even be on their radar whatsoever. I don't think they're trying to push their prices down, but they're trying to stay quiet, right? Because those fees are insanely large, and once you kind of get burned once, sometimes like you can't really recover from it because it gives people too much uncertainty. I don't know about, I don't want to say it's just the top 20, but I know what you mean. The higher you are in the charts, the bigger target you are, right? The SEC wants their money and they want to, make an example. But yeah, again, we don't know their plan, and that's why I keep saying like Veve has a different plan for growth and success as a company. We are just consumers trying to play the game of what we're given, right? We can only do with what we're given. We're not involved as an investor. We're not voting on anything. We don't know the future. We can kind of just do our best, right? And that's why everything is branded as collecting, right? So
yeah, and
collecting for your passion, your own passion or fandom, I guess I should say.
Yeah, and then if something ever were to happen to a certain cryptocurrency or whatever it is, it's like if something happens to that, they're not going to take down Disney and Marvel because they're not tied to it, like Veve is, or like the whole Omi token is. So it's like, if Veve gets in trouble, there's a good chance that the licensors get in trouble. It's like Disney was caught selling unlicensed digital asset security, unlicensed securities on exchanges all across the world. It's like, that's just a bad look for them, right? Like someone could easily just spin the narrative and say that Disney and Marvel and DC or, I don't know how many licensors Veve has, but it's like 9 of the top 15 companies all work with Veve and we're selling illegal, quote unquote illegal, right? Licenses or digital assets worldwide and profiting and blah blah. Like, I don't know. So I think that's another reason why they have to be like very, very careful, because it's more than just Veve or just Omi. It's like it's also the licensors on board too and their reputation and all that stuff. So
yeah, a lot of these things that people get excited about are kind of short-lived, right? These projects that come up and they blow up, it's like that's great, and then 3 years later, where are they? They're dead. They're nowhere. Like, so was that the goal? Is for a couple years or a year, like they're going up and everything's great? I think Veve, their big thing is looking at, we want to build, a giant new sector of digital collecting, and we want to be here forever and revolutionize. They're not trying to, blow up really quick. And I know there's been tweets from Jeremy, it's a sprint, it's not a marathon, which makes sense because you kind of want to be first to market, deliver big things and get all the, get the market share, get the attention, get the huge lead, and everything moves very, very, very fast. And this, it feels literally like every week is like a month in crypto. It's just insane. So I think Veve's also kind of getting used to that. Like their audience wants things like right now, do it now. You said it, make it happen. And that's not the traditional business. Like things are slow, they're delayed, they're pushed back months or years. And that's just kind of how it is. But I think, again, they're looking bigger picture. They want to be a giant company decades into the future, not so much like become a huge thing before April, 2024 of the halving. Like they're in this for the long run. So you kind of have to separate those, but. Go ahead.
No, so I was just reading more. Only thing that Disney, Marvel, etc. are not doing so well. They are almost like they are trying to make up for losses with Veve. Yeah, I mean it's very low effort stuff to make money, right? Like you just give a company some digital assets. They sell, not duplicates, but versions of it on a blockchain, and then people buy it for collecting purposes and all that stuff. It's very low effort. So I mean, that's
it's smart. If you're a business or a company, and you're like, we have some of the biggest IP, we have a massive fan base. Everyone now is growing up with an iPad and a phone in their face since they're like 2 years old. Everything in every video game now is going digital collectibles, whether it's Fortnite, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, like everything, right? It's smart, it's more efficient, it's cheaper, it's profitable. You can control the scarcity. Like, you can control everything about it versus massive warehouses full of products and shipping and, things that maybe are easier or harder to obtain with creating it. Like, it's a no-brainer. Like, the money's going to be insane in digital markets. So from that perspective, I think it is smart for them to move that way. And the fact that people, I think, sometimes forget that Disney, especially Disney's kind of actually pushing this. You would think a big company like Disney is super slow, take their time, let everyone else do it first, then make their move. They're kind of pushing forward with Veve, right? They're taking some risks here. They're doing different types of drops. They're doing crafting. They're doing all kinds of things that are a little bit more unique. And they're kind of telling, it sounds like they're telling the world, like, hey, we want to get involved too, and we're using Veve right now. And I think also these are not, Veve collectibles out of Disney. These are Disney collectibles. These are Marvel comic books. Like, they're theirs. So whatever happens, right, it kind of feels good to know, like, you own a piece of that versus, you just own, I mean, not to mention, it wasn't too long ago. You might remember, it was like just yesterday or 2 days ago, but it felt like it was like 6 months ago. The Steamboat Willie on OpenSea. Do you hear about that whole thing?
Yeah, I heard it. I don't know all the specifics, but people were making versions of it, making tons of money.
Yeah, exactly. So it was unfortunate because you got to see all this attention and hype around Steamboat Willie, and you got to see the power of the brand and the IP, right? It's Steamboat Willie. This is huge. It's like 100 whatever years old, and it's iconic, and the first Mickey Mouse, and animated, all these things. But it was all directed towards the OpenSea projects, which are just popping up all over the place. There's a bunch of them.
Yeah.
And then the Veve one, the first official one, over the the license one we have, did do anything. So obviously there's a big disconnect, but the attention and the hype was there of the IP, which is that to me is still the biggest thing. People are gonna want Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, like Star Wars. I mean, the power, the potential is still there. We got to connect the dots of Omi NFT and all this other stuff.
Yeah, some of the Steamboat Willie collectibles did go up, with all the drama and kind of announcement that Steamboat Willie's like IP is now free for everyone to use and all that stuff. So yeah, I mean, it did pump internally on Veve, but that's just money that's already there, people that are already familiar with Veve. But like you said,
I bought
like
one, but that was about it.
Yeah,
it went up like 10, 20, I don't know, 15%, and then it kind of just came back down to normal.
Yeah, like I'm looking here at the uncommon. It was at like 23, and then January 1st it went up to 31. So that's like a 50% pump. So like not too bad there. But like you said, if more people just knew about Veve and how easy it was to actually just put gems in the app and you collect it, you can own it in a gated platform where your stuff won't get drained or stolen or whatever. And it's officially licensed by Disney, like all that stuff. Like if we could just get people to understand like Veve exists, and they can kind of channel all that fandom and all that focus and energy and money into Veve, that would be ideal. Because like you said, there's hundreds, thousands of these like PFPs of Steamboat Willie getting bought and sold for hundreds of dollars and stuff like that. I'm just like, wait, what? Like for hundreds of dollars, you could have bought tons of these officially licensed ones on Veve. If you spent $500, like you could have bought all three versions of Steamboat Willie for the most part.
Yeah, I think roughly at their peak it was I don't remember the exact price of ETH, but I think it was $1,200 or $1,500 for one of them. Jeez. But yeah, and these are the guy was smart. Anyone technically could have done it, but he as soon as midnight struck, he threw up the project and promoted it and had them all out there. They're all the same picture, and people ate it up, and it was smart timing. It was perfect, for the Web3 space. That's kind of how things work. It's all about attention and excitement. So that was kind of wild to see. I know some people were upset about it, and Veve should have this money, this and that. It would have been great. And they did make a tweet, which I think kind of brought a little bit of attention. But I think Veve keeps thinking that we want, real collectors and, traditional collectors and all that stuff, which is great. We'll hopefully slowly get more of those people. But a lot of times collectors are maybe a little bit older because they're used to collecting whatever cards or things like. I mean, there's a lot of younger collectors too, whether it's Pokemon or stuff, but you don't have the money to be collecting, expensive comic books or things when you're younger. But you do have probably a bunch of digital items on the video games, on the phone apps you play. So they're more used to that. So I think Veve needs to kind of, not that they need to, but I think they're slowly trying to mix the both, right? The NFT and crypto people, but also the physical collectors. They're also making collectors, right? Like myself, I got more into collecting because of Veve, of course. I was in crypto first. Didn't really care about collecting outside of just, flipping stuff for money, NFTs. But I think they have to realize, they probably know that a large majority of their current audience, as of now, is used to the crypto and NFT kind of world and ecosystem. Whether they want it to be like that or not, that's a lot of where they came from, right? So I know in the future they want, all types of people and collectors, traditional collectors, old school, young, old. But a lot of their people now are either were originally, already part of crypto and NFTs, or they were quickly introduced to it because of Veve. So they need to find a way to kind of merge those and connect those better, because there's a lot of money and a lot of attention, and things move I mean, we already saw with the kind of the first bull cycle on Veve, like things are just going nuts. And that's with not even really that's still with just putting in your credit card and stuff like that. So
yeah, so none of this is financial advice, but Pixel Trader, do you have a collectible or comic that you think is like really undervalued, or collectible you feel like people haven't looked at in a very long time that could actually end up doing pretty well in the long run, or that could pop up soon? Collectible or comic, whichever one, like one that maybe people just haven't looked at in a long time, or I'm not sure how often you're on Veve, like looking at the market and prices and stuff like that, but
yeah, my wish list right now on the wish list is actually really helpful. It's kind of sleeper picks, I guess you should call, because they're things that I think they're lower mints, but they haven't really like blown up, but they have a chance when the market turns, right, to do really well. It's easy to say things like Secret Rare Spider-Man, it's the first Marvel, the first Spider-Man, but there's so many mints, right? To me, it's like it could do really well, but I'm looking for things that are a little bit more sleeper picks. Of course, it's easy to say Miles, but he's already so expensive. But I think some of the, what is it, like the Star Wars stuff, like the C-3PO, not the FA, but the other one. Same with R2. They're like the first, they're FE, but they're hyper realistic and they're super low mints compared to the other ones. Same with the Self-Made one by Brett Crawford, I think is super low mints. It's iconic. It's got a physical version. There's very few for sale. I think those are ones that when the market pumps, you kind of want to have one of those to feel like, hey, look, I made it. I'm self-made. It has a 3, S3.
Yeah, that's what I figured. Yeah, and there's a space between the made. There we go.
Yeah. So these are kind of like not your typical, just like Todd and, Walt and stuff like that. I kind of look at some of these that are really low mints, and they have a potential of, to go up really, really high in the future. But you cannot go wrong with Miles. Even the rare Miles, I think is going to do super well. Anything AF15 related is going to do super well. The mints are low enough that they have great pumpamentals, and the popularity is, as high as it gets, basically. I'm trying to think if there's any other. The Veve logo is also kind of a sleeper, although the price has gone up a lot. Depending on what they do with that, the mints are really low.
Talking about the gold and silver one?
Yeah.
Silver logo. 3,800.
It just depends on your budget. Yeah, it just depends on your budget and your goals. I think another one I like a lot is FA Stan Lee, although it's a mighty FA Stan Lee. I think it's roughly 1,000 mints secret rare or something. I mean, it's hard to beat. Just on paper, FA Stan Lee, like that's all you got to say. First appearance, Stan Lee, doesn't really get any bigger than that. And as far as like the Marvel superhero world, I mean, it's kind of like its version of FA. Walt and Mickey, but it's a mighty, so people kind of brush it off. But as far as the name of it and, FA, that to me is a huge, huge one.
Execu Speak liked that term, pumpamentals. He said he's going to take it back home with him. So
yeah, use it. Veve's got a lot of things that have good pumpamentals. They haven't clicked yet. You need the market to turn around.
Yeah, and then Daniel Marquez says, I think there might be hits everywhere with the CGC drama, might take a dip IRL. They had good auctions today, but if you looked like swapped comics and artificial pumps, which is a whole nother thing. I think that's, again, kind of points towards like the benefits of digital collecting, you know. And I'm surprised it kind of took this long, because when I think about it, I'm like, man, it is so easy to like fake stuff on like, you know, like CGC graded comics or things like that. People reseal Pokemon or Magic the Gathering packs like all the time. They like, a lot of card shop or a lot of like hobby shops will do this. Well, they'll buy boxes, open the packs, find the best cards, take them out, and then sell it as a solo piece, and then like put in another card, reseal it, and they sell it to, you know, the kids or whoever comes in there. So it's like, dude, it's so easy to get scammed with like physical products and stuff. But on Veve, you just can't. Yeah.
You think about an NFT at its core is proof of ownership. That's what it is. Yeah. So it could be whatever. It could be a picture. It could be a card. It could be an animated collectible. It could be a video. Like, it's just proof of ownership. That's all it is. So in that aspect, you're right. It directly is correlated to all these issues with physical, you know, damage, stolen, fakes, grading it. Like, just there's so many of them. You're right.
Yeah, Prince actually had a really good one. Stanley Ultra Rare is undervalued, like way undervalued. And I agree, dude. It is cheap, 23 gems.
Yeah. What's the mints on the ultra rare? Does it say
1900? So on the high side.
Still 2000. I mean, that's pretty low for
and then even, I mean, if the secret rare is pushing, you know, 240, 215 gems, yeah, it has double the mints of the secret rare, but it's a fraction of the price, like an eighth of the price of the secret rare. And Excelsior is a very, very common saying, or probably one of his most famous sayings that he says all the time, you know, Excelsior. So I think
if they did a special drop, like if you own this set and you had like a special drop, that would be pretty awesome.
Yeah, and it's pretty much the same price as this uncommon, which has 3,000 mints, which is the Stan Lee kind of classic Spider-Man title there. And if we look at the Stanley, if it'll load, rare, where he's sitting in the chair, that's probably the weakest one. The one he's just sitting in a chair. There's no phrase. There's no kind of nothing to it. It's a cool concept that he's like the king of, like kind of like king of comics and stuff like that. But yeah, king of cameos.
That's kind of the fun thing on Veve is there's so many drops and there's so many fandoms and there's so many different versions of stuff. It could feel diluted, right? And like there's just too much stuff, which I could see that, right? But you're not supposed to go for everything. You're not supposed to collect everything. I mean, David said that for a while. Like, there's going to be too much stuff for you to keep up, so pick your lane. And I think people have had to kind of evolve how they collect stuff, whether it's just for fun or for profit or whatever. But like you said, the Mighties is still one of those things we have no idea what they're planning with them. The Mighties could be one of the biggest things on the app. We have no clue. Same with the vehicles. Yeah. Maybe vehicles in the Veveverse look so amazing and they're hard to get and they're pretty rare that's the big, like, we have no idea what things could become. And the Mighties are maybe one of the bigger sleepers, you know.
Yeah, no one knows what Mighties, honestly, they can go one of two directions very quickly. It's either, I'll start with the pessimistic view. One, it's just Marvel trying to push Funko Pop-esque kind of things. They're very low effort, like not a lot of arts involved, like not a lot. It's very easy to make these in comparison to, you know, you look at Storm or some of the other like premium 3D digital collectibles that we have. Like you could, dude, these ads are killing me. I bet you could, in the time to, you know, make it and all that stuff, who knows, like you could probably make a whole set of Marvel Mighties before you could finish one 3D digital exclusive version of I don't know what's the most recent like digital exclusive, not digital exclusive, but like premium exclusive NFT drop, right? So a part of me is like, all right, they're either doing that, like they're just doing it because they're easy to make, they appeal to both like adults and children, they're just trying to make merch and get it out there and get it done with, like no utility, no nothing, just get it out there, just get the FAs, whatever. Or there's gamification, there's utility, you can actually rent them out, they actually have abilities, there's all this other stuff. So I know it's either like there's a massive plan that's like a 3 to 5 year like thing that's gonna like span out, or it's just, okay, Marvel is just trying to get out a bunch of characters for cheap in a kind of cartoony, very low I wouldn't say low effort, like they mean it to be low effort, but yeah, it's like low cost style of just getting art out, because you know, I'm assuming this isn't very hard to make compared to, you know, and even if we look at some of the other X-Men drops that are like the kind of like cell shading kind of style, which is, it's cool to look at, but it's not as, you know, cool looking as some of the other like premium digital collectibles that we've gotten. So that's kind of like my two things. It's either like something fantastic, we're gonna have utility, there's gamification, you can fight them and all that kind of stuff, or Marvel's just trying to pump out as many first appearance characters and cover like all their bases for all the fandoms and groups and all that kind of stuff. So I don't know. What's your take on Marvel Mighty? Something similar or somewhere in between?
I think it's similar. I think the only differences would be for the first part. I think their goal is to make a affordable way for people just to collect and get in the door. And I think David even said this at Comic-Con or something, that the Mighties, like, they want something that pretty much anyone could just grab and pick up that's pretty cheap versus spending $300 on a collectible or $80 on a collectible. They can just, you know, whatever it is, 17 or $15, 15 gems, they can get a Mighty. Like, that's pretty good entry, right? To get an FA of a character like Beast or whatever you want. I think that's kind of what it was, and this is maybe a part of, you know, they want to have a variety. They want to have the really premium, cool-looking ones. They want to have cel-shaded ones. They want the kind of more fun, kiddie, cartoony ones, and they are putting a lot of energy into kind of, you know, putting out Mighties and giving them some really good FAs. So you kind of have to hope that, you know, they know what they're doing and they have a plan versus giving some of their best FAs. And you have to assume David and then let them know, like, FAs are very important. They probably already know that too, you know, through comics and other collecting. So to keep giving all these really, really good FAs to just Mighties over and over and over, you got to hope that, okay, there is some bigger plan or goal for these. And some of the mints are pretty low. We're just at a phase right now where they don't really get a whole lot of respect just because the way they look, right? So people just kind of brush them off. But if we get to a point where we don't care and, you know, we're just going off FA, I mean, there's plenty of things in OpenSea that look absolutely atrocious and low effort, and they're worth a lot of money because either they're low mints or they got a community or whatever, right? So it's kind of hard to tell what will do well, but I think it's just, I'm guessing from what I've heard from Dan and them, they're trying to make something that's really easy for collectors to start collecting stuff versus going for $80 drops to get something more premium. And you can collect a bunch of them for cheap, right? You can collect a lot of Mighties for cheap, and you have FAs of like a lot of characters that you probably love.
That is true. Mighties are much cheaper than the premium collectibles. Usually the premium ones are like 60 gems, right? Like 40 to 80 sometimes. It just depends.
Yeah.
Marvel Mighties are always 15 for the most part. So you can, if it doesn't sell out, technically you can buy, right, 4 Mighties for every one, like Hulk or whatever that. I think Hulk dropped for 50 gems, 50 or 60. I think it was 50. So it's like, all right, you could basically buy three Marvel Mighties for the same price of like one Hulk. It's up to you whether it's
maybe that's their goal, is just to get people into the door of collecting, and it's cheap, and you can get your FA Beast, FA Gambit, and now you're in the door, right? Versus, you know, again, $60, $100. It's like, well, no, forget it, too much, right? Like, they just need to get you in the door. The hardest part is getting people just, you know, to get in the door, and then after that, you can, you know, start showing them other stuff. And that's something actually Dan has said he was working on. I think a bigger project is they want to make it so that other people can browse and look around on Veve app in the market without having to make an account in KYC, because it's, unless you're in the ecosystem, like, you can't do anything. You don't even know what's going on, right?
Exactly. So cool. And then who was it? Slider had another good comment. A lot of comic drops recently might not be huge IRL because they are modern. But on Veve, the mint numbers are so low on some of them, like 6K editions or less. In IRL, they have 100,000 editions or more. I agree. That's why there's a lot of comics I was stacking in anticipation for the burn, because Veve did announce a burn, and they didn't announce which comics were getting burned, but they did announce some of them were getting burned. Let me go. Actually, I need to go to here. And then look at some of the comics. Or no, is it better to look at it this way? Okay, yeah, these dropped in order. Yeah, there's still a lot of comics. That's why I actually bought a lot of like X Factor #1, because this is still, I think it's still barely like half sold out. Yeah, like barely half of it, like a little bit more than half of this sold out. So I did buy a few more of these because I know X Factor. It's you know, it's another X-Men thing, and for me, I think in order for those low mint things to like really catch on, like Veve or Marvel just needs to burn them, like make it absolute. Because right now, just for the fact that like they're still in the store, people could buy more and all that kind of stuff, like it's always going to be at that price. But the second it gets burned, then it's going to go up in value. So I really hope Marvel continues with the burns, because you know, the first couple times they did it, they were like a month or two apart. I think they were 2 months apart, and then after that they did do another burn for 10 months. and then finally we got it at the end of December. But it was, I think they only burned like 5 or 6 comics based on what I saw. Like it didn't look like they burned that many comics, so it's kind of hard to say. But hope you're feeling better. Yep.
That's kind of the main thing holding back. We've talked about it before, is that for some of this stuff when they came out, like whatever the Golden Moments or the earlier comics, you know, they were pumping up the edition sizes because, you know, they looked like there's the demand, whether it's users and the money and the floors are going crazy, and you know it was kind of risk on, right? Printing money, stock market's going nuts, crypto's going nuts, and so like they were just, you know, pumping the edition sizes up with that, I think, as well, because they were getting everything was getting gobbled up, right? And the floors are just moving up too. And then once it kind of switched, you have this huge batch of things from earlier that the mints or the editions are really high, and some of the stuff is like, you know, on paper again, like some of the best stuff, like Marvel Comics 1, you know, F.A. Miles comic book, Ultimate Fallout, Golden Moment still is like an unbelievable set. You know, the FAs that they have there and the way they look is just incredible. Just the mints are just way too high for right now in the market. So it's same with your comics. You might be in the sweet spot where you can find comics that are low mints right now, and then when the market does come back up, or there are some kind of burning or crafting, they're going to go even higher, right? Because there's just so few of them. And I think that's what I think a lot of people would like to see that. I don't know, you know, behind the scenes how open Disney and Marvel and everyone else would be to doing burning events or crafting events with some stuff. Say you burn 5 commons, you get this, or maybe there's just a drop, and the more you burn, the better your odds are, right, of getting something. Yeah. Because some of these comics, you know, they like, it's hard to say deserve, but they deserve to be worth way more, right? Same with collectibles. They should be way more. But when there's 10,000 editions or 13,000 editions, like there's just way too many of them. So they're not. I think there's a lot of things on the app, comics, collectibles, they're not being served justice because of the edition numbers and also just kind of where we are at in the current market.
Yeah, because you look at some of these early comics, I really think ideally we have some sort of burning event with some of these, like Marvel Comics 60,000 mints, Journey into Mystery. I think that one's also like a 60,000. Like a lot of these are 60,000.
Because what's the secret rare in those? Is it on like the 60,000 mints? How many secret rares are there on those guys?
Let me see. So for secret
like 800
rare
or something.
No, that's that's the ultra rare. Or no, that's the uncommon. Why did I get? I'll just do secret rare.
Just because you know
so
it is
600
600
for
secret rares.
Yeah.
Okay.
500 for Journey into Mystery. So that's first appearance of Loki, and then for this one. Yeah, that seems to be the thing. And then of course the big one, like the very first scarce one ever was Avengers 8, 250 secret rares. But even proportionally, percentage wise, you know, Avengers 8 is a sixth of the mints, because remember it's 10,000 versus 60,000, but only has half the secret rare amounts, like 250 versus 500 or 600. Mm-hmm.
The secret rare, because it keeps slicing down the edition size each, rare to ultra rare to secret rare, is that you have some comics that whether they're 600 mints or 150 mints or 250 mints, like that's a huge difference in supply, right? So I think there's going to be a sweet spot of things that are popular or could become more popular, and the mints are also low and the prices are low right now, right? It's kind of like a nice mixture of everything. Prices are low, mints are low, and it's kind of either like under the radar or has a chance to go up. So I still think Ultimate Fallout 4 is doing really, really well. The comic book, F.A. Miles, even considered, it's been out for a while. The mints are kind of high, or not high, but they're standard mint size. So if that guy, hits a real bull run, I think he'll still do well. But imagine if that thing was, half the mints or six of the mints. I mean, just be insane. So yeah, sometimes the edition size will carry something, of course, but I'm looking for a mixture of both. Really, really, really popular in demand, and also lowish, edition size.
Yeah, I must have just missed this comic drop because I didn't join till early November, right? I think that's when I right before Golden Moments. So I think I just missed this drop, Ultimate Fallout. But yeah, if you look at the common, it's going for 14 gems right now. So what I've noticed, like anything related to Spider-Man, is always going to be relevant. Like that's one thing I've definitely learned over the last like year and a half is like, do not underestimate anything Spider-Man related, like the symbiote, the Carnage, the Venom, like that whole thing. Like I'm going to be stacking symbiotes personally. So far it seems like anything revolving like a crafting mechanic, like if you end up buying all the parts just like raw gems or in the store or whatever, you feel like you tend to kind of end up getting burned a bit unless you get really lucky and you land like a secret rare or whatever it is, right? But if you look at like we saw with the Deaths, and same thing we saw with Ronin, which was the Kate Bishop and Hawkeye craft, where there were 50 gems each, 50 gems each, and then 50 gems to craft it. So this Ronin technically costs 150 gems, but it's selling for 65. Technically, you can still sell the Hawkeye and the Kate Bishop, you know, sell it and like kind of make some money back. But overall, so far it's like, if you have the end item in mind, typically it's better to just wait and just buy it once everything is said and done. For me, I think the ultimate gatekeeper is going to be the symbiotes. Like, did you ever have a plan or have an idea of what you were going to do for the whole symbiote like crafting mechanic thing?
Yeah, I think, you know, you do the math of how much it's going to cost, and then you also, I think a lot of people in the crafting, it's kind of like you get to gamble multiple times. You get to play the drops, right? You get a random mint number, maybe you get a nice mint number, you get, you know, a couple $100 out of it, or you know, something like that. Like you get a great mint number, so that's your chance one. You play the other future drops, maybe you get a good mint number again. So every drop and every crafting event, you're kind of getting a chance to gamble to get like a really good mint number, so you could actually multiply your money. And then you craft at the very end, you get to make, you know, Carnage or Venom. I almost said Spawn. Carnage or Venom, and that's another one. You might get a really low number or like a special number. Like it's so, in that aspect, it's kind of fun to like get these gambles. You get multiple chances to kind of gamble and like get your money back, or, you know, get a good chunk of money. But at the end, technically, if you don't get one of those, like a special mint number or a low mint, then you're probably going to lose in the end, unless the mints or the additions are super low on whatever you craft. And for a lot of these, you can kind of do the math of how many could theoretically be crafted, and there's just still a lot of them for this current market. Although it is fun to say you crafted, you know, a Venom or a Carnage, and, you know, you're the first person on the blockchain history. That is cool. But if you're just looking to get the collectible at all, I'm probably gonna wait and see how they do. And I'll, you know, once they're out there forever, right? It's not like they're just gonna disappear. So it's not like they're on sale for an hour or 4 hours, so they're there forever. So I got to see. I'm not going to give away my strategy completely, but I have been buying so far the collectibles that you would need, because they are cool FAs. They're super cheap, right? They're like $7-8, $10. So it's fun to do that because you're getting something you probably like anyways, and you're going to be able to craft it later if you want. But depending on the symbiotes, yeah, that might be the play, kind of like it has been for potions and other stuff. Is just go for the crafting tool or whatever versus the actual items. But I'm just going to be happy to see like a premium version of Carnage and Venom. I have no idea what they're going to look like, but the version they showed us of Carnage is pretty crazy looking.
Yeah, it's just as it's concept art, but like it's going to add up because you need it says here, Mighty's to be venomized can be purchased in the store or the market. The symbiote crafting material will be sold for 15 gems. The symbiote can only be used once to craft a venomized Mighty. In order for the user to craft multiple Venom Mighties, they will need to acquire multiple symbiotes. So, if you want to craft Carnage, you need 60 gems worth of symbiotes, and that's assuming you buy them off the store, right? That's not assuming like you buy 2, they sell out, and now you have to buy 2 more for like 35 gems in the secondary, right? So let's just say 15 gems for the 3. And then I looked at Beast, that was going for 11 gems. Storm was going for about 7, I think. And I was going to check on Falcon and what was the other one? Scarlet Witch. So let's call it 9. And then Scarlet. Doing the math here. So that's going for, let's call it 16. I don't know. If we just ballpark everything, so it's 60 gems for the symbiotes alone, and then another 30 gems for Scarlet Witch and Beast for the most part. So yeah, that's 30 gems. I don't know. It's going to end up being something like 120 gems probably. And then I think you also have to pay to craft Carnage too, I believe. As a future date, Carnage Path will be eligible to, yeah, it says right here, craft to purchase a Carnage. So you're probably going to have to get about 120 to 150, probably about 120 gems. And this is on the low end, right? This is assuming you get all the symbiotes for 15 gems. But it's going to cost at least 120 gems to get the stuff. And then probably another 50, 60 gems to craft Carnage. Maybe more, maybe less, who knows? So it's going to be about 180 to probably 200 gems to craft a Carnage. And then probably something similar for Venom. If that's the case, like if it is going to cost like 180 gems to craft Carnage, it would not surprise me if it started going for like 120 in the market. And at that point, it's like, if you want the Carnage, just buy the Carnage. Now, don't get me wrong, like getting the symbiotes is cool and crafting and like you said, rolling the dice on a good mint, because you could craft Carnage and you get lucky with like a 2-digit mint. Now you can sell that for like a big premium, but it's going to add up pretty quickly. So
yeah, and even sometimes where the crafting was drawn out and it was kind of pricey, like we saw with Thanos. I mean, Thanos, he's doing okay at the secret rare, but he's still, for a lot of people, they spent way more than that crafting Thanos. Luckily, I was stacking some of those like way before they went up, especially the, which one was it? I forgot the name. There was one of them with the secret rare went up to like $400 or $300 or whatever, something crazy. But for sure, some people spent way more than they ended up getting on the Thanos, and they sold at a loss. So there's lots of ways to play the game. I think it's fine for Veve to have these multiple ways, for people to interact. Sometimes, I don't want to use the word gimmicky, but it's like a lot of effort. Like, you just want Venom, you just want Carnage. It's like, no, you gotta do this, and then make sure you do this, and then buy that, and then buy that. It's like, I just want to get a Venom. So if you want to just chill and hang out and just buy a Venom or buy a Carnage, you could totally do that, which is also kind of nice.
Yeah, I think my thing is, and I'll just read chat here really quick. Slider was kind of talking more about the comics. Whoops, I do not know how that happened. Was talking about like more modern comics. I actually got really lucky and I landed a Spider-Boy comic, secret rare, and I still have it. I kept it. I thought about selling it at least like 5 or 6 times. I still might end up selling it so I can kind of get halfway to like buying a Todd or something like that. I'm still debating that right now, but I'm just not sure if people are actually buying at these prices for Spider-Boy. Like, okay, that's the floor, but are people actually buying at that price?
I'll be back real quick.
Sure. Spider-Boy, do this. Am I misspelling something? I'll just go to my collection. The all rare. Oh, it's still called Spider-Man. It's not Spider-Boy. Okay, whatever. Yeah, it's going for 260 right now. I wish there was a button on here to actually look at the floor price, right? I wish there was like a button instead of just clicking sell and it just jumps you straight into here. I really wish I could click a button and actually look at the floor price, because now I always have to do something like this to kind of copy and paste everything. And you guys can see that. Not a big issue, but it definitely adds like 2 or 3 extra steps to sell something. Jorge Luis Sanchez, hey everyone, when is Veve bull run? I did reply. I said soon. Hashtag, it's always hashtag soon. And then 250 mints, Pasternak on the, or no, someone asked me, Pink Panther asked me about how many mints on X-Men #1 secret rare. 250, that's really low. Yeah, so this is the floor price. And yeah, we'll probably be ending the stream pretty soon. We've been going for over 2 hours, so we'll probably wrap it up soon after when Pixel Trader comes back. So I'm assuming he had to use the restroom or something like that. I've had thought about that too. So, but cool. Was there anything else you wanted me to like cover, or wanted me and Pixel Trader to cover before we call it? We spent like a full hour talking about crypto and altcoins and all that kind of stuff, and then we started talking about why isn't Veve doing this or announcing that, this and that. I don't mind talking about hypotheticals like that, but it's not for us to decide, and Veve doesn't technically need to tell us anything, but it would be nice. But if they did start giving us like their plans or insider information, people are going to dump Omi, sell their Omi, start dumping collectibles. They're like, all right, Veve said they're not going to do anything for a few months, let's just dump everything. And then it's just gonna harm the community as well as Veve, like in the long run.
All right, I'm back to you.
Cool. Yeah, we'll probably talk for a bit more. I know we've been, at least I've been streaming for over 2 hours, and you've been here for over an hour and a half. So we'll probably call it here pretty soon. I was just asking chat if they had any like burning questions or any kind of collectibles or crypto coins or whatever they wanted to talk about before we call it for the day. But
well, if you want to go until I think when does Doctor Stuff? Doctor Stuff is starting soonish, I think. If you want to send people his way, and then also.
Yeah, when's Ron's thing starting too? Not till later.
I think it's after. I can check real quick. I don't think it's until a bit after. So, I mean, you don't have to, but if you want to throw people towards Doctor
of course.
Stuff, it's going to start a little bit.
I don't know what that was that popped up. Sorry. But cool. So have you used Stacker yet? Yeah, you're on Stacker. I think I literally saw your name on here for leaderboards. Somewhere.
Yeah, I got Stacker early because Veve Gold logo they gave early access to, and then I think later was Master Collector, something I forgot. They had a couple different categories that would give you early access. Now I think they opened it up to everybody. It's pretty helpful, and I don't know how many people are working on it, but it looks pretty good. It runs pretty well. It's the leaderboard thing is kind of fun. You can kind of spy on people and stuff, which is also kind of cool.
Yeah, got your thing pulled up right now. Yeah, I was kind of hoping it would show. I was kind of hoping it would just show your like rating or like your leaderboard thing, but I guess it doesn't show you that. Is there anything on here?
You have to log in your own to see it. Yeah.
Yeah. Is there anything on here that you're rated like really high on, like top 100 or top 200, like Marvel or comics or?
Yeah,
Star
I think
Wars?
Golden Moments. I'm like 40 something.
Okay.
Top Veve, I think I can log in. I think I'm 300 something. It's been a while since I've looked, but I don't.
Oh, there you go, 46.
You can see it.
Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, yeah,
you're number 46. Man, you need to catch up. You need to buy like 6 waltz. It has to be waltz. You can't buy
the cheapo ones.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't be hard to buy all the $40 ones and then pump yourself up there. But I try to stack the nice ones like Star Wars and waltz and stuff. But Disney, I guess I'm top 200 now. It's not bad. Marvel is around 300, 310.
Nice.
Star Wars is just under 300.
Yeah. So how do you use Stacker yourself? Like, sounds like you log in occasionally. Do you usually just look at leaderboards, look at random stuff, or like how do you use Stacker personally?
So far, I just to look at like my portfolio value. Like that's kind of nice just to get a quick look at it. You can also look at transactions of specific items. So like say I want to look at like Secret Rare Miles is one that I have. To go in there and kind of see how they're doing. I mean, I can easily look up when the last sale was, things like that. But it's kind of nice to see the data and the history of transactions on there. You can look at anything and see the sales and what the floor price was. So you can't see what it sold for. So say it's a low mint, say like a low mint or whatever. Miles sells for like double the floor. You're not going to know that. You're just going to see a Miles was sold. Here's the floor, which is the same for the Veve feed, same for IMX and everything. You can look at the data and see that. So that is kind of helpful to just have it all in one place to see, your leaderboards, your sets, your vault value, how sales are going, even just like on the main page to see like what's moving and what's kind of hot. It's kind of helpful. Because you can only see so much on the app. You can only dig around so much on the app, but I have a feeling there's going to be more coming to Stacker, but I like where they're at so far. But I haven't dug in there. Like I'm not like looking at people's wallets and everything. It's more just browsing around for fun.
Yeah, I've fallen down that rabbit hole a few times. It's actually kind of fun just to see what the high-end collectors are buying recently and like what they're doing and stuff, right? Yeah, we have a couple of Prince says he's number 1 for Kang 2 collectibles, and then Stanley. Nice. Ultra Rares and Big Bird. So he likes some Big Bird, Kang, and Stanley. And then Steven, he said he's number 62.
You can look at a specific collectible and see where you're ranked too. I forgot about that.
Yeah, that's what. I looked up Prince. It didn't say his name, but it had a collector. And then same thing. Steven said he's number 62, which is really really cool. Yeah, that's
which
a lot.
Which is cool because you could look up something like whatever, a Todd or Walt, and you could see that so and so has 50 of these, 100 of these, or whatever.
I just want to lurk at what's Steven's most recent purchases. Okay, it's all the X-Men stuff. Okay.
Yeah, so if you want to, I mean, you could even do this a long time ago. You could technically, it's not too hard to just look on the IMX data and look at what people are buying. Now it makes it a little bit easier. You could find someone who like maybe whatever collects comics or collects something and see what they're doing, like what they're stacking. which is just kind of that's how it is on blockchain. You can see everything, right? So if someone's stacking something, you can find out if you want to. It's not too hard.
Crypto Hog, there we go. That's what Prince says. His name's Crypto Hog. Okay, there you go. Got some big bird.
I was gonna ask the chat if what their split is of comics to collectibles, because for a long time I was like just focused on collectibles and comics or whatever, and then I flipped for a while, like, well, I like collectibles more, and you can get so much more for cheap, and you can make some really nice stacks of some nice comics for cheap. And then now I'm kind of like split between. So my value is more in collectibles still, but I have a ton of comic books now, and I'm like, I can't believe I have this many comics.
How do I see my how do I see my comic to collectible allocation? Does it tell you on here or no?
Like how many you own of each?
Yeah, or how many? Not so much how many you own, but like what percentage of like the value or whatever. You know, I don't know if it says that. Maybe not.
Actually, I don't know.
It'd be kind of cool if it did. If it says like.
Boards.
Yeah, it's kind of like a stocks and bonds thing. It'd be like, hey, you got 20% of your value in, you know, collectibles and 80% of your value in like comics or something like that.
No, you can just see the totals. You'd have to go on your phone and like look at the value and then
yeah.
do the math real quick.
Yeah, it's actually easy to do on the phone because you can kind of see your estimated comic value, then your estimated collectible value, and just kind of make the determination there. I'm looking here. This is kind of crazy. I actually got to zoom in a bit more so people can see. The number one person, then of course Dr. Profit following. Does this mean they have 0.5% of all collectibles, all comics, all NFTs? I think that's what that means. Like they own half. So yeah, I think they own 0.5% of like the entire circulating supply of like all comics, all collectibles, everything, which is pretty nuts.
Yeah, I believe so.
Does anybody know who this top person is? I know there's rumors that like, oh, it's like a brother, like two brothers, or it's like a company or whatever, but like I don't think anyone knows for certain, right?
Yeah, it's the oh god, what's his name? Bazega or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Bazega Man or something, but I forgot off the top of my head. But yeah, there's a couple of different accounts that look like they're that guy. I'm not sure. I think Dr. Profit has tweeted at him a couple times, like, hey, what's up? Let's chat. I think I might be following him too a while ago, but I don't know if it's like for sure the same dude. But yeah, I mean, no one knows. It could just be one, right, or two people. I think they're two brothers that's just buying like crazy. But the thing is, people are doing the math, and like the volume they're buying at makes it like almost inhuman to be buying like this much this fast.
Yeah.
So we'll see. But people are also saying, oh, maybe it's it's a business or some other company that wants to have a piece of it. And that's the other thing. We've only been talking about people collecting. There will be the KYB Know Your Business, which I know some people, including I think My Collectibles, was saying as soon as that's up and running, he wants to start collecting under a business identity. So that'll make it interesting too, because I've been saying for a long time, the way these are working, you could see in the future, I don't know when, maybe it's way out in the future, but people could almost have their own funds or like ETFs of like, say Dr. Profit wants to sell, oh, you can't afford a Walt's at whatever, 50K in the future or 100K or whatever it is. Well, you can't afford one, but I have a collection of whatever, 400 of them. You can buy a sliver of it, and however they do, is kind of how you get paid or whatever, or you sell them off.
Exactly.
So it's not literally going to work like a fund or an ETF, but I would not be surprised if in the future you could buy into slices of ownership, because people have, or businesses have massive stacks of them, and they're just out of your price range. You're never going to get them.
Yeah, it's like fractional ownership of whatever it is. But Rare Ground Beat says Stanley FA is not his FA. Plenty of his art was already on Veve way before that. Are you talking about his like comics or just using like his image? I don't know. That's kind of like another contentious topic of like, all right, does a picture of something, does that mean it's his first appearance on blockchain or whatever, or is it more of like a 3D digital collectible? I think I could kind of see people splitting off, or like getting splintered into two groups, right? Because
you have that with Yoda right now, right? It's like, well,
yeah,
FA Yoda's on Cryptoys, but also we have FE kind of FA Yoda on Veve on a poster and on a comic. So it's like, God.
Yeah, I think the community has been pretty clear cut with separating comics and collectibles, posters and digital you know, digital, the premium digital collectibles that are actually like standalone figures or statues or whatever it is, right? Because if that was the case, if we're talking about comics, then that means like, all right, none of the Fantastic Four are FA, not, you know, Spider-Man's not an FA because Spider-Man showed up in a comic. And if we're also talking about posters too, it's, you know, I can kind of see what you mean there. I mean, I hope I'm not mistaking what you're saying there and kind of running with it, but I mean, I've heard that same argument before, where it's like, well, this showed up in a poster, or you know, the Daredevil FA we got isn't his FA because we have the comic and there's a Daredevil, you know, there's other pictures of Daredevil, you know, or whatever on the app. So
the market will decide. I think whatever's most simple and clear will probably win, because like you said, there's like FA Flash on this blockchain, but it's a card, and then there's this one's a, you know, it's a duo collectible. What about the single one? And this one's FE. Like it's probably whatever's the most popular blockchain or most popular platform. There'll be different versions of FA.
Yeah,
and people will agree. But
yeah, that's why I think, even though absolutely nothing against the Todd McFarlane platform or anything like that, right? Like, I think it's a great platform. I put money into it. I bought some stuff. My account got hacked, or all my assets got stolen. So ever since then, I just didn't really care to get back into the Todd McFarlane platform. Plus, with drama before, I think the collectibles look super cool. Someone did mention earlier that they had like a Bane. There's only like 33 of that specific Bane, so it's super scarce. But if for whatever reason, like Veve, let's say, releases Bane 6 months from now, and it's, you know, it's going to say FA for us, right? Because even Vivi's admitted, like, hey, FA doesn't always mean FA blockchain, it just means FA on Veve. But if the Todd McFarlane platform never takes off, or if Veve becomes like an uber juggernaut in the digital collecting space, people are only going to care about the FA on Veve, not like, all right, let's go to this other platform where I have to exchange all this crypto and do all this stuff and use Uniswap, and then I could buy this collectible, and then I could interoperably put it into like OpenSea. Like, people might, I mean, there's probably people like that, but I do think like Vive's going to be for the everyday like normies and stuff like that, right? A lot of people think like, okay, iPod was like the first MP3, like not MP3 player, but something similar to that, right? But there's like plenty of MP3 players that came out before the iPod, but iPod was just the most popular, so everyone bought it and took it, and that's what they take as you know, the best thing. So
yeah, I don't know. Being the first is a big deal, but it's not the, you know,
only if enough people
care about.
Only if enough people care about that being the first, right?
Yeah, so a good example, a lot of people probably don't know, there's a Pepe coin, right? Like the Pepe meme, and a lot of people are into that. And I forget how long it's been out now, but you know, people put it up there with Myro and some of these other, you know, memes on different chains that could, you know, be really big and get put on exchanges in the future. And you look at the market caps, yada yada yada. A lot of people don't know there's an OG original Pepe coin before this one by a long shot. So that's like, depending on which one you want to go with, like the popular Pepe coin, the kind of the normie Pepe meme that everyone's into, or the OG one from like, I think it's 2016 or something, or 17. That's like the true original meme coin. So I mean, I'm in both. I kind of like the OG one better because it's, you know, under the radar. But I don't know, it's just kind of reminded me of that. If there's the real one, the real FA, and then there's kind of the newer, more popular one. To most people, that's the first appearance of the whole Pepe meme coin.
Yeah. Steven says the sets feature I like really shows all the seasons breakdown. Yeah, let's check that out. I haven't looked at that yet. Sets. Does it just show my sets or all sets? Okay, this is kind of cool. And you could adjust it by season, so you can look at the new season, which is season 7. I feel like we should be having season 8 pretty soon, right? Like, how often does Veve have seasons? Is it every 6 months, or is it 4 months? I don't even know how often they have their seasons, or if it's even consistent.
When did they? Was it 2021? So
yeah, let me see here. Season 6. Oh wait, hold on. Uncheck all these. Looks like it was.
It's like mid 2021, I believe. Like it first started dropping stuff.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at like season. How do I organize this by? Price descending. No. I'm trying to see like what's the earliest season. What's the earliest season 7 drop? Like, what's the very first thing that drops season 7? Is this it right here? I think it's in order of. No, it's in September. It was September. Yeah, it looks like September was the first. Kind of like looking at the dates as I'm quickly going through here. No, there's some stuff here from February. February 12th, 2023. So it's been almost a year. I don't know. I collect on HRO, so the FA Bane card seems more to me than the digital figure. Yeah, we'll see. The details on the Todd stuff are amazing though. I'll have to check that out here in a bit. But yeah, it says collect on the HRL. We'll see how it all plays out, right? People could even separate them in that case, right? Here's the cameo, here's the first appearance, or all right, here's the first appearance card, but there's also a first appearance collectible. There's also a first appearance poster. There's a first appearance comic. Like, who knows? Like, this is a whole new collecting space. People are going to put value on different things. People are always going to try and find a way to separate their collectible or their comic or whatever it is from everyone else's. People do that physically a ton, right? Saw it a lot when I used to play TF2 back in the day, where people would have, if you have another hat as someone else, same, you have the same hat, but maybe you have a different effect or a different number. Maybe yours isn't. There was like 5 or 6 different variables you could use to kind of separate yourself, even if someone had like an identical like item or hat or like a digital like digital asset or something like that they had on their character. Like there's quite a few ways you could kind of separate yourself from the other person, and I think that's going to happen with just digital collectibles on all platforms, not just Veve. So I mean, people have been trying pretty hard on Veve, like low mints, different rarities. I think people are going to eventually start talking about histories, right? Like if you're the original owner of something, that's going to be worth more than someone that's traded their Deadpool collectible 27 times. Like, it's not going to matter now, but in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, like how is yours going to be different than everyone else's? And if you're one of the few people that like minted it on the drop and no one else has touched it, someone might be willing to pay a premium for that. And all you need is one person to pay the premium. You don't need to convince like a whole community and everyone's on board with the idea of like low histories, or you're the original minter. Like, you only need to like a handful of people to care, and you just need to convince one person to pay you a premium, right? So
yeah, I mean, it's a pretty simple experiment, right? Say you're buying your first Todd, and you can look at the history, and one of them was minted by the first guy, years and years ago, and he never sold it, and he finally sold it. So you're the first person to actually get it after that, and it's whatever the price is. And then there's the next one, the exact same price, but it's been through 20 different people's wallets and hands. Which one are you going to pick? It's just human nature. Be like, well, for the same price, I'll just get the shorter, cleaner history, whatever, right? So then you got to decide, okay, at what price do you kind of start to differentiate? Is it $50, $100? So it's not going to be everything. Like you think you said, you're right. The people will start to care about histories, season 1 stuff more. Not just right now. All we have is mint numbers, but when it becomes more mainstream, I guess, and also it's people will find ways to differentiate themselves. Right now, it's just mint numbers, but I mean, to me, people already pay a premium for all kinds of stuff, right? Let alone if you could say I'm the original minter, like for sure, if that's easy to see it. And again, it's probably only going to be like the more rare, high tier stuff, not just anything and everything. You want to be like a piece of that history. I don't know. I agree. I think we're going to see a lot of things that started in gaming, or the gaming ecosystems kind of created these digital economies, will move over to the crypto and NFT. We're already seeing it, right? Things that are really rare, limited edition, or certain drops are worth way more. And there's stuff in CS:GO and TF2 worth $10,000, $20,000, and $50,000. It's just normal over there. It's becoming more normal over here. Yeah,
and people are also selling, in Counter-Strike and Team Fortress 2 and other games too. Like, they just sell the unopened crates, right? Like, hey, this crate has a chance to have something unique from first season. Like, imagine if there was a collectible right now that Veve released, or maybe it always existed, but no one ever cared to sell it or buy it or whatever. But that's like, by the way, here's a collectible in here. If you open it, it's basically another blind box chance at any season 1 black and white thing. So you could get Todd, you could get Rizzo, you could get Becky Cloonan, or you could get I think Joe Mad. Those are the 4 Batmans from the beginning. Like, how much would people pay for that? Probably a good amount, I think. Like, if it was just another blind box, it's just a box. It's literally just a box that says season 1 black and white. Here's the 4 things you could potentially get. You have an equal shot, or I'm not sure how it's weighted, probably by mints or whatever, but it's just another blind box shot, right? And I think that's why I think the next big step for Veve is to have things like that. Exactly what Candy does. You can buy the comic, right? But you don't know the scarcity, you don't know the mint, you don't know the the rarity or anything like that. You could just sell the dream to someone else, right? And that's why I think the next big vertical for Veve, other than sports, I do like Veve being kind of a cool little community of like nerds, and we can kind of express ourselves and talk about like comics and collectibles and all that stuff. But usually the sports enthusiasts bring a different kind of like, I don't know, attitude for the most part. Like I've kind of noticed that people that are like really big sports fans are just generally, and it's usually fun in games, but they're usually pretty like antagonistic, confrontational, very firm beliefs, screw that team, whatever. It's like, it's just, I realize it's like part of the culture of just being like a big sports fan or whatever, especially whatever. But I don't know, I prefer to like not have that in Veve, but if it is, then so be it. I want people to be able to collect Michael Jordan or some of their favorite athletes on Veve. Anyway, I'm getting off track where I think Veve, like the next big vertical for Veve is like collecting, like card collecting, whether it's Pokemon or Magic the Gathering or whatever. It's like you buy a pack. Hey, do you want to open it? No? Okay, cool. Sell the pack to someone else. Like sealed product has always been such a good thing, at least if the product is good, right? But like sealed Pokemon cards, sealed like Magic the Gathering cards, like I don't even know how much it costs for like an original box of like season 1 or the first Magic the Gathering cards ever, but it's easily probably 6 figures, like 5 or 6 figures for like a box of packs of cards. But just because it's the original set, no one knows how many are left. And I think that's one kind of big of appeal with cards, is because no one knows how many Charizards are left. That's kind of the appeal. And I think that's one thing that kind of holds digital collecting back, because you know exactly how many are left. All right, 50 are unboxed, there's 100 left. All right, if we just run the math, we know how many are left, and you can kind of calculate it out. But with cards, you have no idea. Like, I'm talking physical product, like you have no idea how many are left. So that's kind of part of the chase. But I think people are still gonna do that. In my opinion, I think that's a big thing. So I know I kind of went on a tangent there for a bit, but we're gonna wrap things up.
I know a guy who bought in the 2021, I think, like near the peak of the bull market, he bought a Pokemon Season 1 box for 30 grand, and he's just sitting on it. It's like, okay.
Wow. And did he open it at all, or
nope,
still
he
keeps
bought
it
it.
sealed?
He just learned about the whole Pokemon hype and people unboxing Charizards for 200 grand or 300 grand or whatever. So he bought a box, and he's just sitting on it. So that was his, and a risky investment, but that was him kind of diversifying into.
I thought about doing that with like HRO cards, like the very first season ones, like the pre-order boxes. Like I think I just bought one box at the time. I did not have a lot of money. This is like a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I only bought one box, and I was like, all right, how am I going to store it? Make sure it doesn't get damaged or whatever. And that's the other thing about physical. It's like, even stuff I have here, I'm moving around. Like, what if I accidentally kick it or knock it over, or if there's a fire, if there's a flood, not flood, but like a leak, or just something weird happens, or maybe there's, I don't know, a mouse starts chewing. Yeah, that's the issues of physical, and that's part of the reason why they're so expensive. But I thought about doing something like that with the HRO cards, but I was like, you know what, screw it, I'll just open it, and I'm glad I opened it. But that's just the issues. I think that's like the next big technological like vertical, is if you could sell the blind boxes to other people. Maybe not for every drop, because I think the market would be flooded with a bunch of like random blind box drops, or maybe they make a separate market for just the blind boxes that you can kind of purchase, right? That'd be a very easy way for Veve to sell out, right? You just buy the blind, if they're having issues selling out on the collectibles, or just selling out drops in general, just have people buy the drop and see if they can sell it to someone else. Odds are it'll probably go below retail, right, for some of the boxes, but that's just the risk you take with buying certain things. So
all right, that I was gonna say Doctor of Stuff is probably live now. If you want to wrap up and give final words and send people his way. Yeah,
I was just about to say that. Yeah, we'll wrap it up. So D1 and Only, thank you so much for stopping by. We're just closing up shop right now, but what if we could sell multiple collectibles? You have in a blind box forum. I've talked about that before. I remember there's a video I made like over a year ago where I talked about like setting up a contract on your dashboard, right? Like, imagine if I could go to Pixel Trader's account on here, and he has, he's trying to sell his Golden Moment set, like the entire Golden Moment set, as one big thing, and maybe it's like a cool mint number. Like, there should be a tab here right next to following where it says like contracts or things they're trying to sell. You click on it, and there's a thing where you can see all the collectibles, the mints, all that stuff, and it says you can buy all this for $4,000, whatever it is, right? And you click buy, you get all the stuff. It has to be from the same IP, because you can't mix, because if you sold a Todd and a a Walt for $2,000, all right, does $1,500 go to Walt and 500 goes to DC, or I should say like DC and Marvel or Disney? Like, how would the money get divvied up? So I think you would have to have all the items be from the same licensor, so the money, they get all the money regardless. Because if you start mixing and matching IPs, how would you divvy up the money? I don't know. But anyway, any last words, Pixel Trader, before we go?
Yeah, to kind of, I guess, recap for people, you know, some fun things coming up is we have, sounds like David said, we have some new verticals coming. We have the January, I believe 25th, the Crypto XR event, which hopefully will have some exciting news. You know, I talk a lot about Omi, but if people want me to talk about other cryptos and projects I'm in, that's totally fine. I think if people are interested, looking to DPIN projects, it's DEPIN. They've been performing very, very well. Some of them are still cheap to get into. They got sign-up bonuses. You can make your money back very quickly and then ride the rest if you want to. It's just another way to kind of diversify and learn about, you know, nodes and mining and things. You just plug them in and leave them. And, you know, there's a huge world out there outside of, you know, just Veve and Omi and other, you know, kind of stuff that we're used to looking at. Yeah, as far as Omi, I guess for my final words, I think Doctor of Stuff will be talking about it. But for me, it's, again, I'm investing in the future, the potential. If I didn't have a big bag, I'd probably be buying right now near all-time lows. I'm not worried about it. Nothing has scared me or shaken me. I've been here before. I'm not over leveraged. So like, I just, you know, this is my strategy where, you know, I feel that the risk to reward is still really, really huge. And, you know, there's always a time where the price starts to look good. And for some people, maybe they're in the 0005s now, like, okay, maybe it's actually starting to look pretty good now, because I still think Omi's lightning in a bottle, but we just need help. Like, we need help to get there. The IP is insane. The fandom is insane. The popularity, like everything you could want is there. We just need some help, you know, versus, you know, getting it utility and exchanges and making it easy to spend money on the app and use Omi, all these other things. We kind of need that side. But as far as like, you know, what you want to see from like an A+ team, A+ project, A+ IP, branding, it's got all that. We just need a little bit of help to, you know, push things forward. So anyways, I'm not worried about it. I'm looking forward to it. And, you know, hopefully we hit some big catalysts, because to me, looking forward, Veve and Omi still have some insane catalysts that have not even begun to get checked. So we're just kind of waiting for that. But yep.
Awesome. Well, thanks for hopping on. Everyone, please go check out Pixel Trade. And I did link Doctor of Stuff's stream down below. So please go check it out. Let him know that the Vibe Tribe sent y'all. And then I'll see you guys next.